I'm Travis Scott. This is my McDonald's order.
Is that the Republicans will take back their party.
I'm just gonna...
Can't even.
Hello everyone, how are you doing today on this, what is it, today's a Wednesday? On Wednesday, the last day of September, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're all recovered from the debate last night. My hair looks bad today. Anyway, today we're doing a wheel stream. We're gonna take a look at, let's see what's on the wheel. We have Cleanse, Karen, Sovereign Citizen, Conspiracy, Creationism, and Cleanse. So we'll take a look and try and figure out, you know, what we're gonna watch. Any other recommendations for the wheel? What do you think? Let me know. Sushi Mom, I have Proud Boys in my town and I'm an open leftist. I don't really feel safe right now. Yeah, I bet. President's literally telling them to stand by. Like, what the fuck does that mean? We know what it means. It's gonna be bad. Anyway, I guess let's spin the wheel. Let's see what we got. Oh. Creationism. Okay. Let me just turn this music off and find something creationism related to do. We have Kent Hovind's YouTube channel. Let me see if there's other creationist YouTube channels we do. There's Kent Hovind, but there's also others. There's like Ken Ham. I accidentally had an extra M. Ken Ham has a YouTube channel. 3 months ago is the most recent one. The Hidden History of the World, Part 23. Oh boy, we could do that. Looking for dinosaurs at the Creation Museum. All about camels. Playlist. Does he have playlists? The Hidden History of the World thing might be interesting to watch the first part of. The New History of the Human Race. Startling research update. Alright, so here's Ken Ham, one of the founders of the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter, looking kind of scary with a video in a series called The New History of the Human Race. I assume he's going to try and explain history through a biblical literalist worldview. So let's see.
Well, hi everyone. We're going to do things a little differently this time.
I feel like I'm on a chat roulette call with someone who's 5 seconds away from whipping their penis out.
I'm for a Facebook Live. I'm actually interviewing one of our scientists, Dr. Nathaniel Jensen.
Scientists.
And we're doing it over the internet. And I'm on a computer, and he's on a computer at home. And
Boomer Ken Ham being like, "Hello, fellow children. I am on one of these electronic computing devices discussing something with someone on another electronic computing device. Isn't the future cool?"
Able to do this and to get it to you. And so Dr. Jensen actually has a PhD in biology from Harvard University, and he's one of the scientists at Answers in Genesis, and he does a lot of work
I would love to see his credentials.
on genetics, a lot of research on genetics. He's been doing a lot. In fact, he wrote the book Replacing Darwin, where he just...
Let's see. Replacing Darwin. The New Origin of Species by Nathaniel T. Jeanson. Hold on. Nathaniel Jeanson. Let me see if we can. It says he has a PhD. I'd be very curious what his PhD is in, considering he's saying evolution isn't true. Dr. Nathaniel Jeanson holds a PhD in cell and developmental biology from Harvard University. Baha, your head's about to explode. This PhD in biology, in cell and developmental biology from Harvard, is anti-evolution. Baha, how do you feel about that? Let me know in the chat. Good job, Harvard. You're fucking nailing it.
absolutely devastates the idea that natural selection is a mechanism for evolution. But he's been doing a lot of genetics research on people groups around the world. And we've entitled this series, and we'll do one
Hovind pays pretty well from what I hear, and those student loans are hard.
At 7 p.m. tonight. And then
I think it's simplistic saying it's a money thing. There are ideologues that have PhDs. He's probably one of them.
7 p.m. Sunday night, and then we'll continue on with this series and see how we go on the weekends. So the title, A New History of the Human Race, the Resettling of the Americas Before Columbus and Other Surprises from DNA. So how about that? And he's going to, I think he's going to blow people's minds with some of this stuff. For instance, he would say this: what does it mean to be of German descent? Is there such a thing as a German, a European? Do Egyptians exist, Chinese? And so it goes on. And in fact, I think he's going to talk about the fact that are British really French, or a French British, or that should stir up the world anyway. And who were the earliest people that settled the Americas? I mean, was it the American Indians? Was it not? He's got some fascinating information, because he's going to show you. He's going to look at people groups around the world differently.
Is he going to try and say that Native Americans aren't really Native Americans? That's not good.
Than what you have heard from most places. So, Dr. Jeanson, welcome. And let me say one other thing just to qualify right from the start. When you use the terms black and white, we always say there's no truly black people, no truly white people, but we do it for the sake of talking about people's understanding of particular groups. We're all the same skin shade, but you're sort of talking about in regard to people groups and so on. So, Dr. Jeanson, tell us, give us some insight into what you're going to talk about in this series, and share some exciting information with us.
Thank you. I am very excited to talk about this. I think our viewers will be too. Just a little bit of personal note. When my colleagues and I were working on this research, we got to a point where the results seemed so shocking we thought it couldn't possibly be true. But the more we dug into it, the more it started lining up with known history. And what we found is history, as you learn in the textbooks, tends to be a history of politics. Who was ruling where, who was the king when. But when you look at the history of peoples, which is what DNA records, there's a significant divergence, and so it rewrites who we came from and how we think about ourselves.
God, Baha, I wish you were here so bad so we could have, you point by point dissecting this.
So there's a lot in store. We'll take...
What is this dude's name? Hold on. Let me see if it says in the thing. We literally just searched it. Replacing Nathaniel Jeanson.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Jeanson, or it might be pronounced differently, but that's how it's spelled. Nathaniel T. Jeanson, PhD. Put his name in the chat if you want to look him up. Ooh, he has a rational wiki page. Nathaniel Jeanson is an abnormal young Earth creationist in that he has a PhD from Harvard Medical School in cell and developmental biology. During his time at Harvard, he worked in the stem cell laboratory. Oh my god, Baha. He's like an evil version of you, but strictly with adult stem cells. He was quickly snatched up by the Institute for Creation Research in 2009 after getting his PhD and is on their speakers list. He has a bachelor's in science in molecular biology and bioinformatics, University of Wisconsin Parkside, PhD cell and developmental biology, Harvard Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, employee of Answers in Genesis. How could I talk via Discord? I mean, we can get on a Discord call. Give me a second, we open Discord. Just start a Discord call with me. You know, you know my Discord thing? It's like TOS Mirror Universe, Baha. Yeah. Here, I'll call you on Discord.
That's right, capitalistic propaganda.
Thank you, Razor, for following. How'd we get to AIG? It came up on the wheel. We're doing a wheel stream, so whatever the wheel says we do, basically. Doon, 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 doon. I
Hello?
assume. Hello? Hello?
Hey.
Hi. Everyone can hear you, I think.
Okay.
So.
I don't know. So I'm like getting an echo. How do I fix this?
Are you listening to the stream and me at the same time? You need to mute the stream if that's not muted.
Okay. Yes, I was listening to you and the stream, but how am I going to be able to hear what he's saying if I can't hear the stream?
Let me try and share screen. I'm not sure if that'll...
Try playing it and see if I can hear it.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
I want to know if I can
This
hear it.
in
though.
major sections.
Okay, I can hear it.
Okay, good.
One
I gotta
second.
fix my window capture, though. It's not working.
Okay.
Why is it being like this? Oh, that's annoying. Hold on, I gotta fix this. It completely screwed up somehow. Okay, let me delete that window capture and just redo it. There we go.
I'm trying to figure out what he did after he left Harvard.
He went right from Harvard to working at Answers in Genesis. It said on his Rational Wiki page.
Okay. But I want to find like actual verifiable proof of that because people don't normally go from PhD to like a job. It's usually PhD then postdoc then job.
I mean, I don't mean to. I probably shouldn't conjecture, but if I had to guess, I think Answers in Genesis probably wanted to grab someone as quick as possible from their PhD, even if that's not typically how it works. I think that was probably an intentional move by them so they could say, see, we have a Harvard PhD on our payroll, and they're probably paying him way more than... And I don't mean to, like, as a human being denigrate him, but considering even though he is a Harvard graduate, they're probably overpaying him based on where he is in his career, just so they can say, we have a Harvard PhD in biology on our staff.
The first several episodes will deal with some of the background shocks that'll set you up.
For those who don't know, the person I'm talking to right now is Baja Blast. Is my girlfriend. She's a 4th-year PhD candidate in developmental biology.
No.
What?
Reproductive and developmental genetics.
Oh, my bad. Apologies.
Not biology.
To come later, just because if I jumped right into the genetics, you wouldn't believe me, because it's that revolutionary. So the big question we're going to answer in each of these sessions is, who do we come from? Who are the ancestors? We know from Scripture the 4 C's of the Old Testament, 7 C's of creation, corruption, catastrophe, confusion. What we're going to focus on heavily is what happened after confusion. How do we go from Babel to the people groups we see today?
So what he's talking about here is, this is going to be a good 1-2. You can handle the genetics. I'll handle the biblical BS. So he's talking about the Tower of Babel. In the Bible, there's a story called the Tower of Babel, and this story is the explanation for how we get all the different peoples of the different nations of the world and why the people around the world speak different languages. Of course, we understand nowadays that happened gradually over time as languages change, especially as people groups disperse and get sort of separated from each other. Their languages change over time separately, almost like a linguistic evolution. It's a similar thing in that it's just a gradual change over time, although a very different process than biology. But, like, we know that languages changed over time just due to a process of change, right? Whereas the Bible says, magically, one day, everyone on the earth lived in the same city, and they tried to build a tall tower, and that made God mad. So instead, what he did was he struck them with confusion, and by confusion, they made people speak different languages, and then they spread out around the earth. So that's what the Tower of Babel story is when he references it.
What does it mean?
So I'm trying to find anything that this guy has published.
Okay,
right?
I think I missed a thing. Hold on. Haunted Kid Vox with a 100-bit Squidward voice. Oh no, he's hot. I don't know what that's related to. Oh, the biologist, you think he's hot? All right.
No, absolutely not. But so I'm trying to find anything that he has published. And
I doubt he has.
Point, I don't even know. Well, you have to publish before you get a PhD. That's one of the things that you have to do.
Okay.
So at this point, I don't even actually believe that he graduated from Harvard. So on his LinkedIn, everything that he cites as being his publication happened 4 years after his PhD.
Okay.
So, and he did like an interview with basically introducing himself to the creationist research group or what have you. And he said that he only went to Harvard because it would be good for credentials for evangelism.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. So he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like he knew.
I gotta read a thing. MMO addicted with 10 bits. I mean, Hannah, I hope it's the biologist, not Kent. Maybe hey, someone who might be into Neanderthal-looking dudes might like Kent, okay? You have no idea. Anyway, go ahead.
Oh, I don't remember what I was gonna say.
He knew what he was doing, was what you said last.
Yeah, so he knew that going into this, he knew that he didn't believe any of the stuff. So that's probably what is happening with his research, is that he is cherry picking any of the research he does to be like, look, it fits.
Yeah, he reached a conclusion first, and then he's doing research. He's doing the opposite of what you should do in science.
Yeah. Also, all of the fucking papers that he's written have the worst titles imaginable.
Okay, like?
They're just really long. It's supposed to be concise. So, for example, On the origin of eukaryotic species, genotypic and phenotypic diversity, genetic clocks, population growth curves, and comparative nuclear genome analysis suggests created heterozygosity in combination with natural process as a major mechanism.
Holy crap. I know some of those
Yes.
words.
I know all of those words. And it's very stupid and convoluted.
Oh.
There's another one that's almost exactly the same title, published in the same year, same month. On the origin of human mitochondrial DNA differences, new generation, time, date, both suggest a unified young Earth creation model and challenge the evolutionary out of Africa model.
Where were these published?
Answers Research Journal.
Oh, like Answers in Genesis, their own?
Yes.
Oh, that's not a
Yes.
reputable journal.
No. Which is why I'm trying to find anything that he's published in an actual peer-reviewed journal.
Gotcha.
And all of the things that he's done, I'm trying to see if he's done any actual research. And it doesn't look like it. One of these, he tracked UN marriage data, which I don't know what tells you anything.
There's an Answers in
There's
Genesis
nothing funny about the
journal.
tools of capitalism.
Recent functionally diverse origin for mitochondrial genes from 2,700 metazoan species. What's this top one? Why is this coming up? Cell state specific metabolic dependency and homeopoiesis and leuco. Oh god, I can't do that. What is
Hematopoiesis.
Okay, thank you.
And leukemia.
Nathaniel T. Jeanson. He's cited on this one. This is from 2014. This is in
Okay, so that was after his PhD. He got his PhD in 2009.
Okay.
So that is, scroll up. I need to see the title. Okay, so it's in Cell. 2014 cell state specific metabolic dependency.
Writer for Life 724. Of course, this guy isn't a normal peer-reviewed journal. He would have to be, though, apparently, if he has a PhD, so he has to be published somewhere reasonable. Where does it say? Does it say the journal that this was in somewhere that I don't see? Oh, Cell Press, this?
No, Cell. It's just called Cell,
There's
Okay.
nothing funny
Oh.
about the
which is
tools of
one of the most
capitalism.
popular, journals
Okay.
out there.
So he
It's
was a-
peer-reviewed,
he was
everything
a-
like that.
So he co-published with these people in that one. Okay.
Yeah, but he was like a middle author, which doesn't. It means that he probably didn't have too much of a hand in it. So the first author, Wang, would be the one that did the most work, and the last author would be the one that headed the lab where the work was done and like got the grants. So the person with the money.
Okay.
Let's look at this lab.
Daddy Sume says, "Notice me, senpai. I've arrived. Welcome." And Windchanter says, "Daddy's home." Where did you want me to
Okay.
click?
No, I have the article. I'm
Okay.
looking it up. So he did his PhD in blood cell lab. So it doesn't surprise me that he might have been published on this paper after the fact. Because sometimes you do something in the lab and then 4 years later somebody else picks up that project.
Mhm.
So that's probably why he's cited. He might not have had a hand in writing it. I have to actually look through the paper because it denotes usually who did what.
There's nothing funny about the tools
And-
of capitalism.
So that would be why it's published in an actual journal, because he was in the lab of an actual reputable scientist, because he had to be to get a PhD.
Here's one from 2009
funny about the tools of
from
capitalism.
Nature that he was also a co-author in. Again, he's in the middle of the thing.
Yeah.
Dudes spanking dudes with 10 bits. Imagine being privileged enough to go to Harvard and doing this shit, yeah. And Haunted Kid Vox with 100 bits. Creationism is my favorite thing to hear you two riff about, educate on. Y'all are awesome. Thank you.
Okay, one second. I want to... Acknowledgements. I'm trying to see...
I'm trying to find pre-2009 and just pre-2009 ones, and so far I've only seen the one from 2009.
Yeah. I don't think he even has a ResearchGate account, which that's like the LinkedIn of scientists.
Okay.
I also don't see.
I feel like I don't know. If you look at the one thing I'm share screening, this is something published in the Answers in Genesis BS journal. It feels short to me, and it feels like there's not enough charts. This is just a dumb opinion, but like, look at this. There's just one page where there's the introduction, and then there's one thing of information down here, and then there's one chart, and then that's it, and there's cited. That seems short.
So, I mean, in theory, you can have short articles because the goal is to be concise. But the thing that sticks out to me is it's a single author paper. So even with review papers, it's normally two authors. It can be one author if it's just like a primary investigator doing their own little review, but normally you would have trainees on it. Like I have a published paper, and I'm also writing a review paper. So the review paper is me, someone else in my lab, and then my boss. So it's me, another trainee, and my boss. It's going to have all three of our names on it because we all did the work, but it's just a review paper. It's looking at previous data and trying to figure out where the holes are in our knowledge and kind of like suggesting what should happen next. It's basically like, what's the status of our research kind of thing. So a single author paper isn't something that anybody should ever cite.
Okay. Haunted Kid Vox with 45 bits. It's a BS journal. Yeah, that was Answers in Genesis.
I want to know if Answers in Genesis claims to be peer reviewed. Because they can claim all they like, but I don't believe them.
Answers in Genesis Research Journal. Building the creation model. Cutting edge creation research. That's oxymoronic. Free. Answers Research Journal is a professional peer-reviewed technical journal for the publication of interdisciplinary scientific and other relevant research from the perspective of the recent creation and global flood within a biblical framework. Please note that because ARJ is a forum for the exchange of ideas, the views expressed are those of the writers and not necessarily those of Answers in Research Journal editor or Answers in Genesis.
Okay.
They're free. We can look at them all we want. Ooh, is it one per year? Okay.
Probably.
Let's look at the most recent one.
So something to note is that even if they say it's peer-reviewed, we don't know what that means. They could be having anyone that also publishes in this journal look at the paper and be like, oh yeah, this sounds good. That doesn't mean that it's necessary other biologists.
This isn't even a scientific thing. This article is just Darwin's view of women had a considerable effect on society. That would be like for a sociological thing. That would have nothing to do with this.
It does say that it's interdisciplinary, and it says that it's a review article.
Writer for Life 724 with 100 bits, so it's peer-reviewed by biased peers. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah. Okay, so... One second. Let me look on PubMed and see...
Young
if I can
Earth
find
Y
this
chromosome
dude.
clocks confirm known post-Columbian Amerindian population history and suggest pre-Columbian population replacement in the Americas. Abstract. Recent human history represents a novel area in which to comparatively test evolution and young Earth creationism against each other. Though both models generally accept the same sequence of events, they differ in their predictions on the relative timing of these events. One such sequence of the events is post-Columbian population collapse and recovery in Amerindian populations. I show that when Y chromosome-based reconstructions of changes in population size are performed under the parameters of the young Earth creationist model, reconstructions of changes in population size are performed under the parameters of the... Oh, wait, did I just read that again? These reconstructions capture the known post-Columbian history. The successful confirmation of the most recent known 500-year history permits the revisiting of the mainstream account of pre-Columbian history. Specifically, I show that modern American Y chromosome lineages descend from a group of Central Asian migrants who arrived in the Americas in the AD era, in combination with the Amerindian archaeological history that extends into the early BC era. This data implied that at least one major population replacement occurred in the Americas before the arrival of Europeans. Companion of these Y chromosome-based results with a previously discredited American origins migration account suggests that Amerindian account may in fact be authentic, and that the Amerindians may have recorded the population replacement event before Y chromosome sequencing uncovered it. Whatever that means.
So I did finally find a first author thing that
word salad bingo
Nathaniel has.
Okay.
It's called Vitamin D Receptor Depletion Leads to Increased Hematopoietic Stem and Progenitor Cells Residing in the Spleen. And it's just a brief report. It's not an actual article.
Okay.
But he designed and performed experiments and wrote the paper.
Okay.
So that's what he's credited as. And he's not cited as having any financial conflicts of interests. I wonder if his PhD advisor is very disappointed in him. Because his PhD professor is like a leading hematopoietic stem cell person.
Mm-hmm.
Mean to be of European descent? What does it mean to be African? All of these sorts of things that we take for granted and have underlying assumptions. I've had underlying assumptions about, and a lot of the mysteries. For example, what happened to these ancient civilizations? The Persians, the Greeks, the Romans. History books, at least when I took history, they present these kingdoms as rising, falling, as if they pop into existence out of nowhere and then disappear without a trace.
What? No. When history talks about stuff like that, they're talking about organizational structures. It's not that the people from them all died. What? How stupid would you have to be to think that's what it means when your history book is talking about, like, the fall of the Roman Empire? It doesn't mean literally every Roman citizen died on the same day. They continued to live out the rest of their lives. It's just that the governing political structures that organized society crumbled, and they reformed over time into new political structures. But that doesn't mean all the people that were part of that population disappeared. No one thinks that.
But could they be in my family tree and your family tree? Are we related to the ancient pharaohs? I've
Razor with 100 bits. Only sweet baby Jesus can peer review my paper.
also grown up with the assumption, I guess, sort of a default that the peoples of the lands that these civilizations were in today are the descendants. So if you talk to
no, duh. Is his breakthrough finding people who live in the area where Rome used to be have Roman ancestors? Yeah, we know. And modern Egyptians have ancestors who were from ancient Egypt. Shock.
A Greek, presumably they're the descendants of the ancient Greeks. They can claim Aristotle. You talk to the modern Egyptians, surely they can claim the pharaohs. The modern Iranians can claim the Persians. Or to put it in the negative, I don't think any German would claim Greek heritage or Persian heritage or Egyptian heritage.
I mean, there's probably crossover. People migrate. Like, it's not like there's these firm lines between populations.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Razor with a... Oh, nope, already read that. Daddy Sumo with 10 bits. No shit, I'm also descended from ancient Romans and ancient Celts and ancient Gaelic kings.
And I've discovered that all those underlying stereotypes are wrong. And we'll discover this together. So some of the, just to give you some of the a preview, we'll see that what I'm...
Lex the Bear with 100 bits. PhD equals Pillox hating Darwin. Yes, I'm British. I don't even know what that means. Mitchell Drummer, who are you? I am from ancient Greece.
I'm calling black, white people exist. Of course, there's no such thing as black and white with various shades of brown, but as the mainstream populace refers to black and white and divides people into races.
Can you pause this for a second?
MMO Addicted with 10 bits. One of our local neo-Nazi groups is obsessed with tracing their Slavic heritage back to Romans. They literally pay folks to forge records. That's ridiculous. People are so stupid.
That's crazy. I thought this whole time that it was the old dude talking.
Mm-mm.
Because this guy sounds so old.
That's the old dude's Ken Ham. Do you not know who Ken Ham is?
I only vaguely know the name because I have watched your videos before.
Yeah, he's definitely not a PhD in anything. Not even a bad one like the other dude.
Oh, yeah.
These racial designations hold some big surprises. And especially for people like white supremacists, they might be quite shocked to find out what their genetic heritage is, and hopefully that'll change some of their thinking.
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
First of all, I don't think it's a shock to anyone that the vast majority of people on this planet have a mix of various different genetic backgrounds. I think everyone knows this except for white supremacists who are idiots in the first place. And if you tell a white supremacist, oh, we've sequenced your DNA, you have such and such percent like sub-Saharan African DNA in you, they're not going to change their mind. And if this guy legit thinks that that's somehow going to be an aha moment for those people, he's delusional. Pillock means stupid person. Okay.
We're going to have
a
long
chat. Never mind.
What? What were you going to say?
No, never mind.
Okay.
time spent on what it means to be a European. And are there such things as indigenous Europeans? We'll see that many Europeans, probably the most Europeans, are of recent Asian descent, Central Asian, Middle Eastern descent. And if you look at...
Like, the idea of indigenous is sociological. I mean, we can say, like when we're talking about, like, First Peoples, and we're talking about, like, Native Americans, for instance, I think we all understand that at some point long ago in history, people came over from somewhere else, because we're all from Africa originally, as far as we know. So at some point, yes, there had to be a group of people that came over and settled in the Americas first. So technically they weren't from America originally, but obviously when we're talking about like indigenous peoples or Native Americans, what we're talking about is in the context of the history we are dealing with. So when we're talking about that, we're talking about like imperialistic New World, Old World interactions that happened after like 1492. That's what we're talking about when we talk about like Native Americans or people who are native to any of the Americas. You're not doing a gotcha by saying, like, actually, they're, you know.
Chat, thanks for the hype.
Oh, are we on a hype train? Nice. Dandy Sume aborted Baja Blast. Derek Bellinger with 2-month streak took forever to get this dub to go through, finally. Writer for Life 724 with 100 bits. Keep the train going. Thank you.
Genetics, and you go back just a few hundred years, most European nationalities disappear. You don't see a long Greek lineage, a Roman lineage, a German lineage, these sorts of things. And of course, this touches on other aspects of history, things that I've wondered about
There's nothing funny
for a
about
long
the
time.
tools
I
of
grew up never being
capitalism.
taught the pre-Columbian history of the Americas. When we're taught
Vork Void, thank you for
U.S. history,
subscribing.
it's basically Columbus, Pilgrims, and British colonies. But what happened before that? And I've gotten questions about, so where can we go to find the history of these people? Well, wherever you've gone before, it's about to get dramatically rewritten.
There's nothing funny about
So,
the tools of
Dr.
capitalism.
Jensen,
Razor, thanks for subscribing.
you know, most kids these days, and they go to public schools and so on, are taught it's aping your ancestry. So really, maybe we
No, that's not what's taught in public school. What you're taught in public school is the reality that we share a common
nothing funny
ancestor
about
with
the
modern
tools of
apes.
capitalism.
We are not literally, like... We're not talking about, like, modern apes when we're talking about where we descended from. It's just that apes, bonobos, and chimpanzees specifically, we share a recent common ancestor. Recent in the, you know, history, not like recent within a lifetime, but recent in the, you know, in the scale of Earth. Sorry, I'm having trouble talking today. Vorkvoid with 100 bits. Keep being you and other platitudes. And Sushi Mom 10 with 100 bits. I can spare some bits. I love you, Hannah and Baja. Thank you. Geological timescale. Yeah.
could.
So the most recent common ancestor between chimps
There's
and
nothing funny
humans
about the tools of
was
capitalism.
between 23 million to 5 million years ago.
Nice.
And so that's like the span of that species before like any kind of differentiation into new species occurred.
Okay.
So the last like
There's nothing funny about the tools of
chimpanzee
capitalism.
human ancestor would have been about 7 million years ago.
Okay. Writer for Life 724 with 200 bits. You're teaching me more about evolution than my school did. Keep it up.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Very sad. If anybody has any questions about evolution and stuff, I'll try and answer them.
The series, whose DNA is really in your ancestry?
Exactly. And we'll get to, we'll hit some of the preview questions initially, just to set up the genetics. We'll then sort of work from the present day backwards in time and eventually get to those ancient history questions, which of course eventually touch on, what about the apes? Can you see Adam and Eve in your DNA? What about Noah and his family? Do they show up in...
I bet you all $100 he brings up mitochondrial Eve. Haunted Kid Vox with a subscription. Baja teaching me about evolution. Call that a Baja blast from the past. Wing the Ultimate Nug with 100 bits. Okay, digging into too much tax documents. In the 2011 Crosswater Canyon Inc. filed a 990, which states that Ken Ham made like $150,000 in salary and then $200,000 in packages and bonuses in the year 2011, which is bananas. Less credible sources suggest he has tens of millions of dollars rolling around. It's possible. I mean, the dude runs like a giant ministry, and he is the head of like one of the biggest creationism organizations on the planet, if not the biggest one. So that makes sense.
How does evolution explain Trump and other low-hanging fruits?
genetics? Where's the echoes of biblical history? So we'll get to those as we go from the present day backwards in time. And the reason I do that is just because we're taking DNA, or I should say the DNA sequences
so Ken
that
Ham
we
is
have
worth
in our
more
public
than Trump.
databases
I think there are a lot
from
of rich people who are worth more than Trump if we're talking about net worth.
primarily living people. And so you've got to start in the present and unravel the effects of recent history from the DNA history we can infer to go all the way back.
Daddy Sume with 10 bits. Hey, Baja, what do you think the most favorable genetic mutation that might propagate in our species? Like, what would be the next most likely development for our species? That's such an open-ended question.
Yeah. I mean, okay, let me reread it myself. I have trouble comprehending when people read things to me. I need to actually read it myself.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the most favorable genetic mutation that might propagate in our species? I would say something that actually exists. I would say any of the mutations that help to prevent like viruses from incorporating into our DNA or prevent viruses from entering into cells, even though that would cause, the virus to evolve something new. Also, something that I think was a beneficial mutation and has propagated throughout our population and probably will continue to is sickle cell trait. So that specific sickle cell trait is widely found in people of African descent, and it's thought to have evolved and stayed because it was beneficial to people so that they didn't get malaria. So that's basically my answer.
Back in time. Or to put it this way, I started this project trying to look for the history.
Do you guys remember in Phil of the Future, they make a joke that in the future people don't have pinky toes? That's like a mutation that happens. That just made me think about that for some reason.
Yeah, I have. So I don't know if chat knows this, but the teeth that go between your front two teeth and your canines, those are becoming vestigial. So that means that they're basically being selected out. So a lot of people now have very small teeth in that spot, or their teeth are completely missing, and I don't have those teeth at all.
Weirdly,
my brother's teeth are about half the size as the rest of his teeth in that spot.
I have something like that where I had those baby teeth. In fact, this one is still a baby tooth. It just never came out because I don't have the adult versions of those teeth. I just don't. I have that mutation, but only with the adult ones. I have the baby teeth, but I never had adult teeth behind them to push them out. This one got knocked out at one point, so I just don't have one, but this one is still the baby tooth.
So the spot is the tooth between your front two teeth and your canine. Mm-hmm. So the tooth that's supposed to be there. I'm talking to someone in chat.
Oh.
And I don't know what that's called. But basically what happened for me is since I'm such a tiny person and since I had so many teeth, my dentist decided, okay, we'll just take those baby teeth out even though you don't have the adult teeth, and the rest of your teeth will move closer together to fill in the gap. So that's what happened. I do have a small amount of gap between my front two teeth and my canines, but mostly the teeth did push each other over to fill in the gap.
Daddy Sume says, so no X-Men is what I'm hearing here, but seriously, thanks, Baha. That's really interesting.
Signature of Babel in our DNA, and I quickly recognized even the Bible talks about a whole lot of history after Babel. Just look at the history of Israel being conquered, being
oh god, taking anything in the Bible as definitive historical documents is cringe-inducing. Daddy Sume with 75-bit snipe, I assume he just became the stream boss.
Made captives and going back and forth to foreign lands. There's a lot of history that happens after Babel, and you have to unravel that first before you can go back to the ancient time points. And that brings us.
This is gonna be real long if you just keep letting me talk, just so you know. But this guy is bringing in. Okay, so you're not supposed to go into science with pre-drawn conclusions. You're supposed to go into it with an open mind so that you're not biased. And everybody has bias, right? You have something that you think might be going on, and that's why you're even testing it in the first place. But bringing in, I am only going to look at this through the lens of the Bible is a large bias, and it doesn't allow you to see any holes in what you're finding.
Back, of course, to the question of the Neanderthals and who were they, and were they primitive, were they cavemen, were they advanced? What we'll find is that they were probably survivors of ancient catastrophes, and really some of the clues we have to their nature, to their civilization, come from comparison to the Americas and how our stereotypes and views of the Native Americans have changed with time.
What?
And those same principles apply then back to the Neanderthals. But my overall goal...
That was a large jump.
Yeah.
That was a large jump. What does that mean? Also, how would he possibly ever know that the Neanderthals were survivors of ancient catastrophes? Like, if you're truly looking at DNA, which this dude was trained as a hematologist, I don't know. He trained in hematopoiesis and like stem cell development, which is not evolution and is not genetics, frankly. Like, my program name is basically genetics. Then I'm also part of a sub program that it's called a training grant. So it's money from the government for you to train in a specific field. So I'm also trained in reproductive and developmental biology. And so I just kind of combine that and say reproductive and developmental genetics, because that's also what my PhD research focuses on. So it's okay for me to say that because I'm actually doing research, I'm actually being trained. But it wouldn't be appropriate for me to go publish in something like evolution necessarily, unless I went and did a postdoc or had some other formal training in evolution specifically. Because while I know the concepts of evolution, it's not like my PhD work. So I'm not an expert.
Are you telling me someone who works for Answers in Genesis is being duplicitous about their field of expertise? I'm shocked.
Yes. Altered Ren, it is Baja.
Let's see, I have some bits to get through. MMO Addicted says, I did not have baby teeth at all, and the adult teeth came in half rotten. If I recall correctly, it's due to some bacteria I contracted in the incubator, some developmental flaw in there, so just not fun. To this day, my teeth are shit, and I need to visit a dentist every month. Ooh, that sucks. Daddy Sume says, wasn't there a massive depopulation event in our past? I keep hearing that our population was incredibly reduced to a point in the past where there were only like 10,000 of us left. I'm not familiar. I don't know if Bob...
So that sounds like a bottleneck event, which is basically some catastrophe leaves a certain amount of a species, and then basically you have to repopulate. I can't think of anything recent enough that would have been like humans. It could have been an ancestor, like a previous ancestor of ours.
Like a different hominid?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'll look that up.
This is one of them. There's several, though. There's apologetic elements in this. There's just pure curiosity elements of what happened in history. But ultimately, though, it's the question of who are you? Who am I? And I've taken certain things for granted. You take certain things for granted. And my hope is you'll be able to marvel at your own story of how you got here, the stories of those you love, and really of all the people around the world, and marvel at these in a way you've never dreamed of marveling before. It's dramatically changed my own perspective on my own past. I hope it'll change yours. So today I want to make the point in a unique way that the world is a lot smaller than we think. This is not where I started this research, and I married my wife, shown here on the screen, just in 2013. When we were dating, 2012, I really gave no thought to how related we were. I was originally from Wisconsin. She originally from, well, she was born...
Pause this. So I think the thing that you're referring to, is, yeah, I just found the Toba catastrophe theory, and that's basically that there was an eruption or a thought eruption of a supervolcano around 75,000 years ago, and that reduced humans from 100,000 or something. It reduced them to like 10,000 survivors. So yeah, that's probably what's occurring. I have never heard of this. Most of my I don't know. Most of the things that I remember are older catastrophic events from millions of years ago. I don't know if I ever got this far into like human evolution. So yeah, this is cool. Thanks for letting me know about this.
Born in Italy,
because that's super interesting.
Parents, but her family hails from Virginia, West Virginia, and she grew up in Alabama. So hey, the world's a big place. What reason would I have to think that we're somehow closely related?
Now, obviously, we're all related because we go back to Adam and Eve, right?
Oh God! Ah!
Exactly.
No!
That's sick. It's fucking disgusting.
Can you remove someone's PhD after the fact? Could Harvard be like, hey, you're misusing this? Yoink.
You would have to do something pretty bad. It can't just be, like, it can't be something like this, unfortunately.
That sucks.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody heard, but at an institution, there was a guy that was a PhD researcher, and he was also provost, I think, and for grad students. It's basically just like the head of, I don't know what provost means, but he's basically like an administrator of grad students. It's a senior administrative officer at certain universities and colleges. I'm not going to say what university or college because I don't remember. But so he was a provost, and it was found out that he was extremely racist and extremely sexist, going to the point to say that like race and sex had impacts on your intellectual capacity and how smart you were able to get. And so he specifically thought that women aren't graduating in sciences because they're not smart enough. And he thought that the same way for Black people, yes. Basically. Surprisingly, he wasn't white. Because that sounds like a white supremacist kind of take. But, so he wasn't able to be fired. He was a tenured professor. So he couldn't lose his position as a professor, but they did remove him as a provost. Because you can say, hey, we don't think you should be an administrative person over grad students and determining what funding they're getting, but you can still be a professor here.
Okay.
Because ideological differences, that's like some protected thing in academia, and I don't know.
Okay. Daddy Sume, what about the doctor who falsified his autism research? Did he get stripped? I think he had his medical license removed. I don't know what that is.
He got his board certification removed. I know that if you do something really bad, they can take away your PhD, but it's not normally like, as far as I've seen, it's normally like disgracing your university in some way, the university that gave you the PhD in the first place. It's not necessarily based on ethical things.
And then,
so,
MMO Addicted says faking studies and forging evidence is grounds for doctorate removal around here. I don't know where around here is. I'm probably gonna have to move on soon, even though we're only a third through this, just because we've been spending like an hour.
Okay, I want to get...
Really, we're all much...
I want to get farther in this, so I won't say anything unless I'm like really, really bothered by it.
I definitely want to see if you married his cousin.
More closely related than what we've been made out to believe.
Exactly. And my guess is most people would say, oh, my wife is my fourth cousin or third cousin. They'd start to feel a little bit uncomfortable. I've had some people be kind of proud of that fact, and I've scratched my head a little bit, but I think most folks would say, yes, I understand we go back to Babel, but that was such a long time ago. There's no reason for me to feel icky about how closely related my spouse and I are, or how closely related my parents are. And
Oh, God! MMO Addicted with 10 bits, one of the glorious ex-Soviet republics. I told you which one before. Oh, I don't remember.
I've discovered that this is wrong. It's not because we've learned more about our family histories. So I'm half German. My dad has done a lot of work on my family tree. And on my mother's side, we've got last names like Meinke, Meyer, Bellmann, Prege, Kühne, good German names like that. On my dad's side, it's Nelson, Jeanson, Heineck. And my wife's maiden name is Vaughn, V-A-U-G-H-A-N. And so on her side, Wood, Skaggs, Gross, Vaughn without the A. And she told me that there's no need to draw any assumptions about the relationship between the Vaughns without the A and the Vaughns with the A, but I'll leave it at that. So Scotch-Irish is what they'd say for that background. And again, I think most of us would say, okay, one side of the family hails from the UK area, one side from mainland Europe. Never the two shall mix, right? This is these countries have long and storied histories.
Only an idiot would think that. Who thinks that people don't go from country to country in the past? Who thinks that there's no mixing of genetic material between people because of arbitrary borders?
There's no reason to give this a second thought. One of the ways, and one of the reasons I've been prompted to rethink this came about sort of indirectly. So the last time I took history was in high school, and I've learned that the history I learned, the world history I learned, was basically a history of Western civilization.
You didn't take a single history class in college?
In a nutshell,
That's kind of weird.
Essentially,
I didn't.
Civilization started somewhere in Mesopotamia.
Weird.
Now, I was homeschooled and went to a Christian high school, so we probably talked about Babel briefly in the flood, but then it kind of jumped right into Mesopotamia.
Even I had
Talk
to
about
for
Egypt,
Gen
ancient
Ed
Greece,
stuff.
ancient Rome. The shift tends
My
to
major
be
was in
on
psychology.
Europe.
I don't
and
know
at
if that
point,
has any relevance to why
we talk
I
about
had
the
to
Dark
take a history
Ages
class.
after the fall of the Roman Empire, then the Renaissance, Reformation, and then the Age of Discovery, colonization, so forth, and there we are. That leaves a lot of the world's history out of the discussion, and so I've wondered what happened elsewhere in the world. And as I've had to look into this more because of my own research, I've discovered that the answers, even in history textbooks, leave much that's unsatisfying. So I'm just going to race through real fast a much broader view of world history. You might not be able to see the specific empires on the screen. What I want our viewers to see, though, is how much of the world is not covered, even in mainstream history texts. So here's we're going to just take a few snapshots here.
Because that's where all the population centers were, idiot. That's where the empires were.
400 BC.
People hadn't spread out as much. There weren't large empires. And while there may have been, villages or small communities, they're not recorded in history. Oh my god.
What happens if we don't have, sophisticated technology and we move to the Arctic? We die.
Altered Rim.
That's why everything's clustered around the equator.
It's weird that a lot of these places are around, sources of water and resources. Weird. Altered Rim of 30 bits. Rudy Giuliani married his cousin, and sounds like this guy is building up to the fact that he married his second cousin, but he doesn't believe in divorce, so he's stuck in a situation. This guy provokes this reaction in me, and there's a link. Hold on, let me... Oh god, it made me download a file. No facts and logic today, just pain, and it's Ben Shapiro.
In yellow here in the center of the screen, this is the Achaemenid or Persian Empire. You can think of biblical history there, Book of Daniel, and so forth. Northern Europe is mostly empty. There's beginning movements here in Greece. In just about 100 years, Alexander the Great's going to sweep through here and conquer much of the world. You can see in India there's some civilization. China is in the midst of dynastic change, but sub-Saharan Africa has very little.
The Under 92 subscribed 4 months or 3 month streak, 4 months. Wowie, not much for the years of entertainment. It's not much for the years of entertainment, but thanks. Thank you for subscribing.
To show here, Australia is very
Also, I
little to show.
want to say that just because his history classes didn't cover something doesn't mean that we don't know of that history, right? Like, he's acting like the only things that exist are things that he has heard of himself.
And not even in, like, in-depth history classes, like high school history classes that, of course, are going to touch on, like, major empires. Very strange. This guy, boy, he sure is an expert in everything. He's an expert in evolution. He's an expert in, like, blood and genetics. He's an expert in history. Boy, Answers in Genesis sure got lucky when they found this guy. He just knows everything.
The Americas
What
seem
you
mostly
doing,
empty.
Hannah?
I'm trying to get the screw out of this. This is the interior for the sonic screwdriver I use. And I'm trying to unscrew it so I can take the batteries out because they're going to go bad, but...
Blank.
Did I watch the short videos I sent? No, I have them saved somewhere. Of course, they ignore the massive empires in the Americas. There's one in Central America that they have highlighted.
It doesn't change much if we go to the time of Christ then, 81. You'll recognize here in red the Roman Empire, in which the empire that was in existence when Christ came. You can see another empire here in the Middle East. Again, there's activity
Very
in India,
unbiased
China, but again, nothing in Africa to speak of, Australia, Central Asia, North America, South America. There's a little bit in Central America where modern-day Mexico is, but not much to speak of. There's still a lot of the world that isn't, the story isn't told. 500 years later, again, same blanks largely appear. China's extended some of its domain. It's, again, going through dynastic succession. There's some activity here in Central Asia, Siberia, those empty. Again, the typical candidates for question marks are still there. Africa, Americas, Australia. 900 AD, same thing. The main blanks remain. Even in just 500 years ago, Columbus has discovered the New World, 1492. You're beginning to see some settlement in the Americas from Spain and Portugal, but most of modern-day Russia is empty. Sub-Saharan Africa is still empty.
Like, this is incredibly incomplete and borderline racist, considering, like, at no point were the various, like, indigenous American tribes put on the map, nor were there, like, any of the various African kingdoms that existed. Like, come on. Did he literally just Google, like, or did he look at his history book and look at the things that were, like, listed? His old high school history book, and then just put them on a map without actually looking at other maps that show, like, kingdoms over time? Daddy Sume, no shit we don't know about the Americas because we exterminated them, you racist schmuck.
Australia empty. On and on it goes, even up to
Australia empty? Oh no, Bud. Oh boy. Bud, you know about the Aboriginals, right? No? Okay,
America is mostly unsettled. Russian Empire is finally reaching east. You begin to see some activity in Africa. Transiently, even in 1815, just 200 years ago, we're looking at a world map that is largely empty. And I say empty in comparison to the modern map, in which basically every square inch of this planet has someone saying, mine. And I guess I've looked at the modern world map and assume it's been the same all throughout history, but it's not. It's right up just 200 years ago. Much of the world is empty, and so I've grown up with this mystery.
Oh my God, this guy's an idiot. Someone call Harvard, please. Please, someone call Harvard. Hello, Harvard?
I want to email his PhD professor and ask him if he's disappointed in him.
Yeah, you probably could. I imagine you have avenues of figuring out how to contact people like that.
Well, yeah, you guys have avenues for figuring out how to contact him. He would just probably actually answer me because I have a university email, and I could be like, hey, fam, you do stem cell stuff, I do stem cell stuff.
Yeah.
Let's converse.
How dare you? I could just say, I'm a rando from the internet. Don't you want to talk to me? I'm very important. I have a Twitch channel.
Well, I can say that my boss has met personally Barack Obama because she got an award from him.
Nice.
Yeah.
what is the story of these other parts of the world? Whoops. I'm wondering how to...
It's almost like colonialism destroyed a lot of indigenous populations and their history. Weird.
Keep my earphones in my ear while I'm talking, too. First time, here we go. So these questions have remained outstanding, and I've learned part of the answer is lack of written records. So we know from archaeology that in Northern Europe, there's people there, they're doing things, but they didn't write down what they did. Whereas you get
MMO addicted with 10 bits, and then I reveal I am the professor and have been simping for Hannah all along. Joke.
to the Roman Empire and such, some of the Greeks, they're writing histories, they're talking about what they did. So that's part of the reason for why there's so many blanks. But think about it. Here's the map in 400 BC. Are we to believe that there are people all around the globe, but 90% of them just choose not to write down? Are we still missing?
Oh my fucking god! Figuring out, I've discussed this on the channel before. Written language is not a given. I understand that it might feel like it is, considering like how ubiquitous it is in the modern world. But coming up with a written language system that is functional and useful is an amazing accomplishment, and it's amazing that it ever happened. Because consider this, not only do you have to come up with a series of symbols that mean certain things, whether we're talking about like a phonetic alphabet like we use, you know, in the Western world, or whether we're talking about something that use more pictorial depictions of different concepts. Not only do you have to do that and create an internally consistent system, but then you have to teach it to enough people that it's useful. Because let's say it's 100,000 BC, and your name is Grog, and you live in a small village, and you've come up with the most perfect writing system ever invented. But if you can't convince other people to learn it and use it, it's useless! The fact that human beings ever invented written language and it became ubiquitous is amazing. And saying like, well, are we just to believe that there were ancient civilizations that didn't have writing? Yes! Yes, absolutely!
Hannah.
What?
Hannah, you are not seeing this from his perspective, though. To him, people didn't exist outside of 6,000 years ago, right? They sprung up via dirt from God or some shit. And language is a given because it was given to God by Babel or some shit.
Oh boy, it's almost like his entire worldview is distorted and tainted by his religion, and therefore he shouldn't be talking about stuff like this as some sort of research authority, because his bias is so deep that it's causing him to completely misconstrue real-world history.
Yeah, that's what he probably went to the Bible and picked out places they talked about.
I hate
like
Missing 90% of the history of the planet because people made decisions about whether or not they had time to discuss what their ancestors did. One of the shocks for me has been to view the map not in terms of political realms, but in terms of people. So here's another map of the world that shows you not political realms, but population density. And this is a recent map. This is 82,000, so just 20 years ago. And what strikes me rather starkly is how much of the world today is still largely empty.
It's because they're inhospitable regions, most of the places that don't have people. Like,
I don't understand what he's getting at.
I don't either. Like, this is the Sahara Desert, the biggest desert in the, well, Antarctica's technically a desert, but we're talking about, like, you know, what you think of when you think desert, sandy desert, right there. This is like a tundra. Like, this is, again, near the Arctic Circle. We have Antarctica down here, which of course only has researchers. I don't know what's going on in the middle of here. Maybe, is it the rainforest? I don't know. I don't know South America things. And then we have the Australian outback, which would be terrible to live in, and we also have a lot of desert over here. Like, this is where people live because it's near resources and places that it's relatively easy to live in, even if you need something like fans or air conditioning or heating or something. And then in the middle of America, there's just a whole lot of nothing. There's a lot of nothing. There's also Rocky Mountains somewhere in here around this area. Oh my god. I hate it. I hate it so much.
I don't get that impression looking at a political map. So you can see here, Australia is mostly unpopulated. North Africa, mostly unpopulated.
Because there's a desert, you idiot.
Half of China. So China has 1 billion people. They're concentrated in half of what is the country of China.
Yeah, they're usually in urban centers. The urban growth in China has been astronomical over the last 30 or 40 years.
The other half of it is mostly...
I don't know the geography of China, though, but I imagine there's something causing this, like, gap in population density centers, like mountains or something. Again, I don't know that much about China.
empty. Siberia, Canada is mostly empty. The Western United States.
Because they're inhospitable!
Amazon. There's lots of the world. Middle East here you can see, Saudi Arabia, almost nobody there. If you think about it, and if you know the climates and geography of the world, it makes sense. So here's a map of global temperatures. Siberia, Canada are some of the coldest places on the planet. Purple, of course, is even colder, like Antarctica and Greenland, but blue, royal blue there, you can see is cold places. And so, not surprisingly, there are few people up in these very cold places, hard to have an existence there. And related to that is sort of the topography and climate of the planet. So you can see in China,
I genuinely don't know where he's going, where he's trying to go with this, like at all. What's the point he's going to try and make?
The habitable regions are largely in the east. You go west, you're on the Tibetan Plateau, high altitude mountains. It's much harder to eke out an existence there. Of course, North Africa is mostly the Sahara Desert. Middle East is desert. Australia has the Great Outback, and Ken can tell you more about that. Western United States, mountains. Jungles, you might think, are a great place to live.
Isn't Ken from New Zealand, not Australia? And that guy's like, Ken can tell you more about that. I thought he was... Let me see, hold on. Let me see if he just made a dumb remark. Ken Ham, or am I misremembering because of Ray Comfort? No, he's Australian. Okay, cool. I was thinking of Ray Comfort, who's from New Zealand.
Live because of the climate, but if you want to increase your population size, you really need agriculture. And the jungles, for one, tend to have poor soils, and the other is there's a lot of land to clear if you want to start eking out an existence. So looking at the globe today, where people exist and where they're concentrated makes sense. They tend to be concentrated in those parts of the planet where the climate favors it. But it's not how I'm used to looking at the world. Mostly, there's still significant chunks largely empty of people. So let's take this view of the world and then go back in time to 1000 BC. And we're gonna take 1,000-year leaps through history. So we'll do 1000 BC, 1 AD, 1000 AD, and then the present day, just to see how the concentration and distribution of peoples changes. So notice here, in 1000 BC...
Did he just, like, take the same image and jack up the contrast or jack up the luminance so it would make some of the yellow disappear? Because that's kind of what it looks like.
And this is then based on partially historical records and archaeological digging and such. That's how these maps are reconstructed. Notice where people are concentrated. And what I want you to see is they're mostly concentrated in those places where history books make mention. India, China, Middle East, Europe.
Is he a
There's
moron?
a little bit of activity here in the Americas.
I think he is.
Because Central America
Because that's like circular thought.
Yeah.
Like history, people. The only things that we know of are things that we have history of.
Right. Written records help tremendously.
Civilization is going on. Some books will mention this. But the Americas are mostly empty of people.
Okay. No, though. There were tons of people in the Americas. They just didn't have a written language. So there's less history in the way we think of history about them. But that doesn't mean they weren't there and having their own cultures and events, wars between, like, groups of people, alliances, entire histories of their culture that existed that we just don't know about because they were wiped off the face of the earth practically by colonialism. Oh, no!
Sub-Saharan Africa, mostly empty of people. Up here, Central Asia, Siberia, empty. Australia, empty. And it doesn't...
No! Aboriginal tribes exist! The lack of written language does not denote a lack of human beings.
Change much, even 1,000 years later. You can see that it's
especially
become a little
since,
bit more...
like, even if there were written records, they were probably destroyed on purpose at some point.
Those regions of civilization. India, China, Middle East and Turkey, Europe, and so forth. We've got a little bit more here in the Americas. So this has now gone from the Olmecs to the Mayans. Their civilization is beginning. You've got some activity here on the Pacific coast of South America, but there's still big blank gray spots on this map. Even in 1000 AD, there's gigantic blank spots. You begin to see some more activity in Africa, particularly West Africa, which again is fairly arable land, a good land for agriculture, lots of people in Europe, Middle East, India, China. The Mayan civilization has just collapsed here by 1000 AD, but the peoples largely consist here. We're just 500 years removed from the height of the Aztec.
I have a feeling the reason that like West Africa starts to get more hot spots on the map here is because there's more written records of it, because by this point people had actively from places in like Europe and the Middle East made contact with people in West Africa. It's not that they appeared out of nowhere, it's that historical records started being kept of those people that have lasted to today. My God. Daddy Sume, hey Hannah, I need to get going soon. Could we watch Karen or Sovereign Citizens before we go? Well, it's a wheel stream, so when we're done with this, we'll see what the wheel says.
Empires here, and the Incan Empire is down here on the Pacific coast of South America. And then, of course, we're back to the modern era. And if you look at these maps carefully, and you notice the changes in...
I wish we had a historian we could talk to about this. I feel like they'd be pulling their hair out.
Shades, so light yellow, of course, is a less dense population, dark brown is intense population. It changes ever so slightly for the first 1,000 years and the second 1,000 years, and then it seems to take a big jump for the last 1,000 years. And that's not a quirk of the people who created this map.
Slickrick 99,
it's a reflection of the history of population growth.
Jake. Jake isn't a historian.
So the term hockey stick graph.
His degree is in teaching, and yes, his teaching specialty is history, but I would not consider him a historian.
Of course, gets a controversial treatment when we're discussing climate change. It's actually an accurate description when we're discussing human population growth.
Tumek von
and
Raven,
you can see right around
following.
1500, 1400, there's a big bend in this curve upward. So to put it in math terms, for those who like math, in 1000 AD, the world population was around 50 million. It increases to only about 360 million in 1400 AD. So 2,400 years pass, and the world population doesn't even increase by a factor of 10.
Cody Bookworm,
so 1400 is the end of the Black Death in Europe. It's happened a little bit earlier in East Asia, so the world population has gone down some. And then it just explodes in the last 600 years. So in the last 600 years, the world population has increased 20-fold, going from 360 million to nearly 8 billion today. That's a massive increase.
Dr. Jensen, if I could just jump in here for a minute too, I think it's good to point out to people that, hey, if man evolved millions of years ago, that curve should have gone up way before.
No! Oh my God! Vaccines, modern medicines, infant mortality rates plunging. My God! Mass disease and starvation, modern industrial farming, the industrial revolution at large. You morons! I'm not even... The population growth didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened because human beings created conditions where children weren't dying all the time. Ugh. Anything to add?
Let's stop this video. I feel very, very lied to. I thought I was gonna have to discuss some science-y stuff, so I'm gonna go.
Okay, you sure you don't want to stick around and watch something else with me?
I'm gonna be in chat. It's just my headphones are like really hurting my head. I have a headache.
Alright, sorry.
Oh, it's fine. It's not your fault.
Alright, so that's enough of Ken Ham and this dude for the day. He's an idiot, though. And you know what, though? Like, grifter's gonna grift. What a good gig. He goes and gets a PhD from Harvard, and he doesn't even believe in science. And then Ken Ham comes and pays him a juicy salary, more than he's probably worth, just for them to say they have a PhD on the payroll, even though he's not doing actual PhD level research. It's amazing. It's amazing stuff. Anyway, thank you, Baha. Appreciate it. Did she already leave? She may have already left. You can hear me, though. Thank you, Baha. Appreciate it. Love you. So, let's do what's next on the wheel. Cleanse. Okay, does anyone have a cleanse that we could watch before we move on to something else? Bunny cleanse? Sure. Give me that bunny cleanse. Epic of Gilgamesh and Sumerian.
Boys, hi. Hi. You want to try something? You want to try butternut squash? You wanna try it? You wanna Stony?
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Buddy. Nicole, you want to try it? And fuck you guys.
What? Why are they... What? Why? What are they... What? What is that? Delicious honey. Okay. Okay. Nope, not doing 2 cleanses in a row. Conspiracy! Hey guys, it's time for Hans. Hans.
Hans Wormhat. In this video, I'm going to give just a few examples of time moving faster.
God, he is so obsessed with this time moving faster BS recently. I wonder why.
Just examples that I haven't really talked about. And a commenter actually brought this up. They said that they make some videos or something about health-related things. And they...
Tumek Von Raven with 300 bits. Hi, Hannah, just coming from YouTube after years of watching you and Jake. I heard Twitter, or I assume you mean Twitch, is better for you. It's confusing for me, but I'll try to adjust. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Twitch is much better for us. We actually make money here, which is good because we need to pay bills and get food to live. So thanks for coming over.
They told me that they get a lot of comments talking about people's periods being spaced farther apart.
Are we ready for Hans's nuanced take on menstruation? I'm sure this will be good.
And that would make sense with time moving more quickly. The body just can't even keep up anymore.
If time was moving, and again, this is the thing that I don't understand about Hans's like weird belief that time is moving faster. Hans, if time were moving faster, we exist in time. So if time were moving faster, we and all of our metabolic processes, including the way we think, would also move faster within it. Like, we are not somehow beings that exist outside of time that, like, can experience it separate from ourselves. If time was moving faster, we would be moving faster with it. You cannot have this belief because it doesn't make sense. Whenever we watch Hans, I play this clip in my head. Let me see what it is.
Don't worry, kid. It's time for Hans.
There's nothing funny.
That's
about
the exact
tools of
opposite. They would
capitalism.
come sooner, you idiot. Yeah, he also has it backwards. Very strange. Haunted Kid Vox with 245 bits. You make money here? How does that happen? Who knows? It's a mystery. The noob monster. Wait, how can people be having periods if everyone is secretly trans? Good question.
And one way that we would expect to see things like this is, yeah, if people's periods were becoming longer and longer, that would appear that time is moving more quickly. Also, kind of connected to this is, I don't have personal experience of this, but I believe it is true that women are starting menopause later and later in life. And also, we know that people can carry children later and later into life. And
Okay, in the past, there were misconceptions about when people could... Are you video calling me? Hold on. Hello?
Hello.
Hi? Chat, it's Baja.
I have something to say.
Okay. Can you turn off the stream? It's echoing.
I don't have the stream on.
Oh. Okay.
So, you don't understand what Hans is saying. If time is moving faster, but periods stay the same, that means, like, say a period was 7 days. If time is moving faster, that means per period you could fit in, like, 10 days or some shit.
Sure.
So that's what he means. Like, periods are getting longer.
Okay. Oh, this app sucks. I can hear myself.
I'm sorry. But what I think he's probably going to talk about is how, like, anecdotes from people that menstruate where it's like, hey...
There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Like, you know, closer together and now they're farther apart. And that's just because you start off with irregular periods.
Okay.
So that's my 2 cents.
All right. Thank you. Bye. Andrew Dickerson with 10 bits. Hans, did you know that everybody used to only be able to see in black and white? That's why all movies before a certain time were black and white only. It was only after the civil rights movement that the government used chemicals to let people see in color, and anyone who would remember the time before color was hypnotized into thinking it was always color. That reminds me of, I don't know if any of you watch Doctor Who, but did you guys know that it is canon that the first 2 doctors were colorblind? And that's why the show's in black and white? I think that's a cute canon thing that they introduced later. Cinnamon Scented Fangs says, finally managed to catch one of your streams. Just wanted to say I'm incredibly thankful for your existence as a fellow trans girl. It's incredible to have a creator who I already followed and admired go through something similar to me. Anyway, love you. Have a mini cleanse for later. Thank you. Glad that my existence is helping someone. That's dumb. Well, yeah, a lot of Doctor Who is dumb. Doctor Who is incredibly dumb. The canon of Doctor Who is the stupidest thing ever. And that's why I like it, because it's so bad. I love it. Like, did you guys know that in canon, the Doctor and the Master were in a band? They were in a rock band together. Like, Doctor Who canon, especially the expanded universe stuff, is ridiculous.
All of those go along with time moving more quickly. Being a 40-year-old isn't the same as it used to be. And oftentimes I think of how way back in the day, a 20-year-old woman who wasn't already married off and starting a family, people used to pretend like that was, you know, they're already past the age.
Right. That's just how history works. People were sexist and viewed women as only containers for babies and then caretakers for those babies. So people thought that if you didn't have a baby by a certain age that you would be useless. That's sociological. It's not based in biological fact, Hans.
where...
Also today, the medical care, the natal care that we can provide to people who are getting pregnant is much more sophisticated than it was in the past. So let's say these days, if you're later in life and you have a baby later than people used to, typically in the past, we can provide natal care to people that monitors and can, like, compensate for certain factors that may have been dangerous in the past. Like, if you're older, I imagine they put you on certain natal vitamin or prenatal vitamins and other stuff that can sort of help make sure that the pregnancy goes well, if that's what you're intending. Whereas in the past, it was a pretty hands-off thing, like, you're pregnant? All right. Good luck with that.
They need to be starting a family. And nowadays, that's clearly not the case. 20-year-old women, you don't look at them like, wow, you should have already started your family a long time ago. It's like...
I guess you haven't heard of, what are they called? Girl Defined? You haven't talked to Girl Defined, I guess.
Early 20s is now a normal time to start a family.
And I laugh at Star Wars? No, okay, let me be clear. When I make fun of the Star Wars EU, it's because there are a lot of people who take the Star Wars EU seriously. People are like, oh, Disney should have done just the Star Wars EU because it's so good. Whereas when I talk about Doctor Who EU, I go like, did you know that the Doctor once had a talking penguin as a companion? And I don't go like, yeah, that's awesome. I want to see that on screen. I go, that's very, very stupid, and I love it. I think his name was Frobisher. He was a talking penguin. Anyway. I want to know where Frobisher was at Demon's Run. You gonna bring Strax and you're not gonna find Talking Penguin to come help you? Ridiculous. Daddy Sume, Quiverful. Yeah, those people are gross.
So I did see a lot of posts. You know, stuff like this, it's kind of hard to quantify. It's just... I tried to search for people talking about there being longer time between their periods, and I got...
Wasn't the penguin also a shapeshifter? I think so. Let me look. Talking penguin Doctor Who. This wasn't a one-off thing, by the way. Frobisher was like, has been brought up multiple times. I need you to help me, but it won't. You'll be helping yourself and so many others. And it looks like the 10th Doctor is talking to Frobisher, but in an older... So there he is. Yeah, he's shape-shifting. There he is. Hold on, Doc, I'm coming. Here he is running away from the TARDIS. There he is with the 6th Doctor. Alright, I'll take you to Venus. I was heading there myself anyway. If you wanted a lift, you only had to ask. I assume Frobisher is disguising himself as the TARDIS uppy-downy thing. It's Frobisher in a thing. Anyway, Doctor Who canon is stupid.
Decent amount of hits. I tried to find people talking about
Hannah hasn't sent you a picture of Lupine today. If I see her, I'll do so. She came in here last night, so I'm hoping she'll show up. Lupine! Lupine!
Shorter time between their period, and besides like one person saying they got a period twice in 1 month, which just kind of sounds like a freak event, I didn't really see that much of people saying, oh, my periods are getting closer and closer together. So a lot of these things, they're hard to quantify, but it just seems like there's a lot more people out there with longer periods, and I don't really see people complaining.
Hans, I very much doubt you've taken a scientific survey of women. How many women does Hans even think he knows? Because Hans thinks everyone is secretly trans. So I'm guessing when he says this, he's literally just talking about his wife. So his wife is having longer periods for some reason. I'm sure there's a myriad of reasons that could be, and he has decided to extrapolate this out to every single woman in the world. Daddy Sume, no one is going to complain about their short periods. If it's not a problem, they won't bring it up. Probably true.
About their periods getting closer and closer together. And I'll point out here that people that take birth control, that regulates their period. So, and with time going faster, people could be getting way too many hormones now because they keep taking the pill. every 24 hours, but 24 hours isn't what it used to be.
Yes, it is!
Maybe that's what, there's a lot of things out there for lowering, like, I see ads on TV for hormonal birth control that is lower amounts of hormones. And I guess here I'll just
That's because some people have adverse effects to that stuff, but they still want the effects of a birth control pill.
Make a statement out there that a lot of people talk about their periods, and they're like over the top talking about them, but they're just liar phonies who don't even get periods, except for rare occasions when the hormones are working just right. I'll leave it at that. So you can't trust everything that you read. Now, kind of similar to this, time moving more quickly. People ask me a lot about babies, and I think the rampant C-section and inducing labor, if you go to a hospital and you're pregnant and it's near your what they say
Haunted Kid Vox says is an abnormally long period called an ellipsis. God damn it. You know why I feel like I'm not funny? Because chat always comes up with funnier jokes than me. And I'm always so disappointed in myself. Hans is legit an idiot. I can't take this. You're gonna take it. Deal with it.
Say is your due date. The doctors do basically everything that they can to push it forward and to just get it over with.
What?
And I think that a lot of women these days,
if they're inducing labor, it's either due to complications with the pregnancy, so they want to make sure that you're there at the hospital when it happens, so they'll schedule it probably a little sooner than you might normally go into labor regularly, so it doesn't happen before the date of the inducement, or because something's going on, I already said because there's complications, or because some people just want to be able to pick a day for some other reason. Like, that's why people induce pregnancies. It's not to get it over with. Like, what? You think doctors are like, we're sick of this pregnancy. You come in and we're going to induce you. That's not how it works. Oh, God. Daddy Sume says a thing I'm not going to repeat.
get their pregnancies induced ahead of schedule because they just have this 9-month whatever thing set in their mind. And their job is to just force the baby out of you. Doesn't even matter if you get messed up in the process.
What? Yes, it does! The health of the mother is like a huge thing in delivering children. In fact, that's part of the reason they do, like, inducing pregnancies or cesarean sections. Because for whatever reason, in the specific instance that you're talking about, like, vaginal birth is not possible. Who knows why? I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you the reasons why that might not be something you want to do. But, like, there are medical reasons to do that. Doctors aren't just doing it for funsies.
And, well, look at this. About a third are born via C-section these days. So I think that's a big indication that women need longer to carry the children now. And the doctors are just, they have this date set in their mind. Oh, you're late, they'll claim. And then they'll start inducing all sorts of things. And since women aren't ready, they end up having to get a C-section. But I will say that there are an enormous amount of Swire births these days. And they almost always end in C-section. A lot of Swire people, they don't even try to do the natural birth thing, but a lot of the Swire, they feel like they have something to prove. And so most of the people that are like over the top...
He's just making all this up! God, I wish I had the level of confidence in literally everything I've ever said than Hans has when he's just making shit up off the top of his head. Swires is a rare condition, which, how do I put this? Let me just Google it, because I'm going to be able to... reading it will be better than me trying to explain it. Swire's syndrome. Swire syndrome is a condition that affects sexual development. Sexual development is usually determined by an individual's chromosomes. However, in Swire syndrome, sexual development does not match the affected individual's chromosomal makeup. People usually have 46 chromosomes in each cell. 2 of the 46 chromosomes, known as X and Y, are called sex chromosomes because they help determine whether a person will develop male or female sex characteristics. Girls and women typically have 2 X chromosomes, while boys and men usually have 1 X chromosome and 1 Y chromosome. In Swyer syndrome, individuals with 1 X chromosome and 1 Y chromosome in each cell, the pattern typically found in boys and men, have female reproductive structures. So basically, it's a genetic situation where someone will have XY chromosomes, but they will be female in every other way. Hans thinks that, like, the majority of people are secretly... He thinks the majority of women are secretly Swyer syndrome people. Hans thinks that the majority of people out there aren't real men or real women. He's a psycho. He, like, legit thinks everyone else is, like, secretly what he considers trans, even though having Swyer syndrome doesn't mean you're trans. That's not what trans means. But he thinks it is. So he'll be like, everyone around me is secretly trans. They have Swyer syndrome, or they have some other thing, and I'm one of the only real men left. Like, he's legit, like... paranoid delusional.
Oh, my body can do this. My body's built for this.
Did the stream die? Oh, shit. Did it?
Like, doing the whole at-home birth, water birth thing, those are almost all Swyers who they have something to prove.
Let me know if I'm back for you guys. I guess there was, like, an issue. For a sec, it's fine, though? Okay. Hopefully it wasn't... I didn't get, like, a notification on my thing, so... Did that already end the stream? I hope not. No, it's broadcasting. Okay, cool. Great.
Proof.
What's the last thing you guys heard me say? I was describing Swyer syndrome. Did you guys hear all that? I just hiccuped. Okay, cool. What's the last thing you guys heard me say? You heard everything? Okay, cool. Just want to make sure.
Cesarean section is very dangerous. Invasive.
I don't think it is. It's a very, very commonly done procedure. I don't know. Let's see. Complications from C-sections. I spelled sections with a C. I'm a genius. Rates. C-section complications, American Pregnancy Association. A third of all deliveries, and now it says 1 in 4 women experience a cesarean delivery. So I'm sure, well, with any, like, medical procedure, there are complications. It's probably not super prevalent.
My wife, every time that she's given birth, her waters have broken beforehand. And it's kind of strange, because I've known some Swyer pregnant women who...
No, you haven't. Hans, the chance that you've ever known someone in your life who has Swyer syndrome is very low. I'm not saying it's impossible, because obviously there are people out there with Swyers. But, like, you think everyone has Swyers, and you're wrong 99% of the time.
You know, women, that they say...
Yeah, he has children. I think they post videos on this channel sometimes, which is why I don't cover those videos, because I'm certainly not going to make fun of Hans's kid that he's forcing to put weird videos on YouTube.
Like, weird things, like they're jealous of that somehow. Like, I don't know. That's just all I know, is that they've pointed out to my wife, oh, man, your water broke first every time, and they're like, mine never did.
Right. Because that doesn't happen to everyone. Then they go get induced, and that's fine.
So, I don't know if there's something there or not, but it's worth pointing out.
Does Hans think his wife is also trans? No. Hans thinks that his wife is a real woman and that he is a real man, and I think he thinks his kids are real, whatever gender they happen to be. He does, however, think his parents are secretly trans. I'm not kidding.
And I guess just since my mind's always thinking about the end times, you know how when the firmament opens up and there's waters above? It's like a birth. There's gonna...
That's a reference to the Noah story, where the firmament, I've talked about this before, especially when we talk about flat Earth. and we do debunkings of that. But certain literalist Christians will view the world as it is shown in Genesis, especially during the Noah story, which includes a firmament. The firmament is an ancient idea of how the world works, where they believe that there is like the land, and then there's the ocean, and then above there is this dome that covers the world, and the sky is blue because above this dome there's another ocean, just like there is, you know, around whatever landmass you happen to live on. So in the Noah's Ark story, it says that the firmament opens and waters fall. So the reasons that the earth floods in Noah's Ark, that story in the Bible, is because this dome that supposedly covers the earth, that doesn't exist as we know now, let waters from like this top ocean fall into the world. And that's what he's referencing.
Be the waters.
Hans is a flat earther? I think he is, yeah. It's been a while since I've seen him cover it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a flat earther. Hans, the next time he decides to look directly at the sun.
Well, you're certainly doing your job today, Mr. Sun. Oh, rat.
Hans has literally made a video before where he talks about staring into the sun as a kid.
Breaking. So there is this circadian rhythm thing, but it only works to a certain extent. And I liken this to, I don't know, all sorts of different things. And somebody just wrote a comment about the time speeding up thing, about how they like to tell us about how in times past, people would sleep for 4 hours and then wake up in the middle of the night, do a bunch of stuff, and then go back to sleep for a little bit more time later.
I've heard that. I'd imagine it's evidenced if it's something that's being said. But, like, they didn't do a bunch of stuff. I think usually the implication is that they banged it out for, like, an hour and then they went back to sleep.
You guys remember hearing stories about that? That would make sense if time was really, really slow. People could sleep and then wake up and it's still dark.
No, that would imply people would be like sleeping for 8 hours and then they get up for an hour and then they go back to sleep for another 8 hours. People were not sleeping 16 hours a day.
Do some stuff and then go back to sleep. And in a similar way, stuff is just so sped up nowadays that it's out of whack. And 9 months, it just doesn't do it anymore. Even though we do have this internal clock, it's just time is too sped up. So 9 months just doesn't cut it. I guess the point I'm trying to make is births will stay within...
Hans, if that were true, then every baby would be a preemie, but they're not. But they're not. And again, I explained this to you one more time. If time somehow sped up relative to what, I don't know. But if time sped up, we would not realize it because we exist in time. Our metabolic processes, including our thoughts, are all tied to time because we exist in it. Like, you cannot say that time is speeding up relative to humans. What would that even mean? How would that happen? Daddy Sume with 10 bits. Yes, Hans, modern life is very fast-paced and frantic. It's a problem for everyone. Deal with it. Stop thinking this is a magical thing.
9 months, to a certain extent.
Does his wife ever show up and validate everything he says? I've never heard from his wife.
Because we do have an internal clock. However, time has just sped up so much that the circadian rhythm just doesn't... It doesn't account for the time speed up anymore.
Wrong.
It's too fast. Same thing with sleep. I think our bodies can adjust to it to a certain extent, but now at this point, 8 hours of sleep just doesn't cut it. Time is too short. So here's another topic. Cooking is a really interesting topic, and one I think about nowadays a lot is defrosting. It's a huge meme that just doesn't even make sense anymore of, oh, I forgot to take the meat out of the freezer before...
What? That's not a meme!
Mom gets home. Which is kind of disturbing that it's just understood that moms aren't home anymore to be able to do stuff like that, and they're out working. What do they call this, like latchkey kids or something? But the thing is children would get home from school, and they would have been instructed by their mom, when you get home, take the meat out of the freezer.
Yeah, this happened at
Nowadays,
my house. This happened too. Like, they're gonna have, like, chicken or beef or something for dinner that's in the freezer, and when you get home, they're like, hey, can you take this out of the freezer so it's defrosted by the time we get home so we can cook it later? That's something I think a lot of people have experienced. If you don't know, that's what he's talking about. Like, sometimes I was a kid who would, like, get home first before the parents did, and then they would ask, either, like, via note or via phone call or whatever, like, hey, when you get home, take the meat out of the freezer so it can defrost. I don't know if that's an experience you guys have had, but it's certainly not an experience only I have had.
Hours is not enough to defrost a substantial piece of meat out of the freezer. That is not enough time. It's still frozen solid. When I want to cook ground beef later, I have to take the meat out of the freezer like 5 hours ahead of time if I want that to be defrosted.
Okay,
There's nothing funny
yeah.
about the tools of capitalism.
Haunted Kid Vox, when my mom told me to take the meat out of the freezer, it was because she was at church. Okay.
And it didn't used to be like that. 2 hours used to be enough time to defrost things.
It would depend upon the volume of meat. Like, if you have, like, 5 pounds... I don't know why you'd be making 5 pounds of beef, but I'm just using it as an example. Let's say we have 5 pounds of beef that is completely frozen versus 1 pound. The 1 pound is going to defrost faster. It's going to depend upon what's frozen and how much of it is frozen and how long it's been in the freezer. I'm assuming in this case it's something that's been in the freezer for a while.
Nowadays it's not. I like this talking about how you'll need 4 days. A 20-pound turkey will take 4 days to defrost.
Daddy Sume, he is going back and forth now. Is it slowing down or going faster? The meat defrosting slower implies time is slower. Yeah. Apparently meat is not affected by the time for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah, Hans, turkey's always been something that takes quite a while to defrost because, again, we're comparing, like, let's say we have, like, a pound of beef, right? That's less mass, so it's going to take less time for temperature to affect that entire mass and equalize the temperature to get it, like, to room temperature, or at least to a temperature where you can cook it. With a frozen turkey, you're talking about a 15, 20-pound turkey. That's way more material that needs to defrost, so it takes longer. The same thing applies, like, let's say I have an ice cube that's this big, and then I have an ice cube that's this big, and I pull them both out of the freezer at the same time. The smaller ice cube is going to melt entirely first.
I don't think it used to be like that.
You're wrong! You're wrong, Hans! It's okay to be wrong, but you're wrong!
Anybody that's been doing Thanksgiving these past, I don't know, 5, 10 years, have you noticed that it seems like it takes forever for the turkey to defrost, and it takes forever for the turkey to cook? I've followed recipes before, and they've been way off. Like, I've had to cook the turkey like an hour and a half longer. 2 hours longer than...
Okay, were you following it based on the weight of the turkey? Because that's going to depend. Let's see. Sitcom plots. Defrosting a turkey. Thaw turkey. Is there like a TV tropes page about this? TV tropes. Thaw turkey. That seems like it would be a TV tropes page. Thanks-killing TV tropes. Oh, that's just a movie. Basically, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. Let me see if I can just search TV tropes. Turkey. Jive turkey. Going cold turkey. Turkey lexicon. Turkey shoot.
There's nothing funny
turkey
about the tools
guys.
of capitalism.
Yo-Yo33, thank you for subscribing. Got a new job, so I can't watch as much, but at least I can start paying for subs now. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad he got a job. Congrats. Daddy Sume with 10 bits. Should we tell Hans to fry his turkey? Do you think he would do it? That's a bad idea. Let's not have Hans burn his house to the ground, okay? Like, I don't like the guy, but I don't want his kids to suffer any more than they already do. Got to thaw turkey. Video Is there like a... I know I've seen this plot in some sitcom before. And if it's an older sitcom, it would help. Here's a Mr. Bean clip. The famous Mr. Bean turkey sketch. This is hilarious. Mr. Bean tries to cook Christmas dinner for him and his girlfriend, gets the turkey stuck on his head. That's not the same thing. Like, the idea of thawing a turkey and forgetting to do so is not new. That's a very old thing, okay?
What it tells me. And sure, some of it might be user error a little bit, but I don't know. So it's actually really hard to find old recipes that talk about cooking, and you'll notice that a lot of old recipes, they're just a lot more vague, and they didn't have digital thermometers back then.
And if he's gonna be like, none of them mention de-thawing. You know why that is, Hans? Because in 1911, most people didn't have freezers. Maybe they had an icebox. So what you would do is you would get a turkey like the day before or on the day, but probably the day before, and just let it either thaw from the butcher's or it would be fresh and it wouldn't need to be de-thawed. So I'm going to stop you. I'm going to cut you off at the pass here before you say something stupid. Like, none of these recipes talk about de-thawing the turkey. Right. Or thawing the turkey, not de-thawing. That would be freezing. That's just a dumb way to say freezing. Thawing the turkey. They don't say thawing the turkey because people wouldn't have a freezer that they're freezing it in for days or weeks at a time before the day.
And then they didn't used to have the like FDA guideline temperature that they were trying to reach. A lot of times it seems like they were just cooking the crap out of everything. But anyways, how to cook a turkey for Thanksgiving in 1911. I didn't see the original source here. That would have been nice. But this tells you that a large turkey will require 2.5 hours to cook. And
what would be considered a large turkey in 1911 is very different from what we would consider a large turkey in 2020 because of selective breeding. We've now bred turkeys to be so large in captivity that they literally cannot breed with each other. There was an episode of Dirty Jobs about this, that Mike Rowe show. Mike Rowe's an asshole, but nonetheless, I'm going to cite this. There was an episode of Dirty Jobs where he went to a factory farm where they were making turkeys. And I say making turkeys because literally it was someone's job to jerk off the turkeys, collect the semen, and then they would inseminate artificially the female turkeys, because turkeys are so large now because of the way we've selectively bred them to have so much meat that they literally physically cannot mate with one another. So what would be a large turkey in 1911 is not what we would consider a large turkey today.
they're telling you to baste it frequently. Every time you open that oven, the temperature drops. So could you imagine cooking a large...
I imagine in 1911, some of these people are using wood stoves, so it's going to be a little different than if we're talking about, like, radiated heating electric stoves that we have today, or even gas stoves. There were probably a lot of people using wooden stoves still at this point.
Turkey in 2.5 hours where you're basting frequently? That doesn't make any...
It's going to cook faster because it's smaller, Hans. Let's see if I can find something. Turkey, 1911. Let's see if we can find a turkey from back in the day. I'm not sure if I'll be able to, but these are guns. Apparently there's a gun called a turkey or something because we're getting a lot of guns. Turkey, dinner, 1900s. Doon 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 doon. Need an old picture. I don't even know when Thanksgiving became a popular American holiday, so I don't know. Because even by the 50s, they had factory farming, so I'm trying to figure out if I can find an old picture of a turkey dinner from the early 1900s. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. Turkey, early 1900s. Let me guess, we're going to get the country turkey. Yeah. Here we go. Okay. Early 1900s photo of a turkey. So let's compare this turkey to a turkey. God, I wish there was someone next to it so you can see. Large turkey 2020. Not a wild turkey, a factory farm turkey, which is where people are mostly getting their turkeys from nowadays. Large turkey farm 2020. Okay. So look at these ginormous turkeys. Look at how huge this thing is and compare it to this turkey. It's hard to tell because there isn't something else in this shot, but do you see how much leaner this turkey is than this turkey? It's because we've selectively bred domestic turkeys over the last century to be ginormous. So a large turkey in 1911 is different than a large turkey in 2020, and because it's smaller, it takes less time to cook. You're also dealing with wood stoves, so you're going to have a little bit of a different cooking time anyway.
Any sense today. There was a really interesting manual for army cooks. Unfortunately, it didn't end up giving me what I wanted to see about roasting turkeys, but it still was interesting how they talked about breakfast, dinner, and supper. They didn't used to do breakfast, lunch, dinner, and it looks like dinner...
Oh my god, Hans. Dinner used to be people used to say dinner for lunch, and supper was dinner. Words change over time. So people used to say breakfast, dinner, supper, and supper was the last meal of the day, whereas today we say breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's what they're talking about. That would have taken 5 seconds to Google, by the way.
Was the Lord...
You don't even need to Google it. You could intuit, like, oh, that's interesting. They used to call lunch dinner and dinner supper.
Just meal of the day, but it kind of is taking the place of lunch. Breakfast was a large meal. Dinner, a very large meal. And then they kind of had a light supper. I thought it was interesting, too. A lot of things don't change. Chili con carne, macaroni and cheese. But then a lot of things do change. Stewed prunes.
It's a weird observation by Hans. Things change, but also sometimes they don't. Oh, okay. Got me there.
So here's a recipe on roast turkey. But the thing is, if you read the recipe, they don't give you, like, set the temperature to this. I think they're literally roasting this turkey next to a fire.
They probably have a wood stove, depending on when this is written. If it's the 1911 one, most likely.
But they say a small turkey takes 1.5 hours. They say a moderately sized one, 10 pounds, is 2 hours. You cannot cook a 10-pound turkey in 2 hours.
Let's see. 10-pound turkey recipe. Also, again, this is, I don't know what the temperature wood-burning stoves go at. 10-pound turkey cook time. There's a Food Network. 3 hour, 10 minutes, active 10 minutes, yields 8 to 10 servings. 3 hour, 10 minutes. What's the temperature on this? 325 degrees. Wood burning stove, average temp. So a wood burning stove is double the heat. This is saying cook at 325 degrees for longer. We do this with modern stoves because typically if you cook meat at a lower temperature but for longer, it won't dry out as easily, which is why you cook things now at lower temperatures, whereas in the past, a wood-burning stove, you have less control over the amount of heat that's getting applied because you basically just have, is it burning or is it not? And yeah, there's degrees of, like, making the fire hotter or not, but, like, 650 degrees Fahrenheit for a wood-burning stove. That's double the temperature. The turkey's also probably going to come out drier and not as good as a modern-day turkey, but nonetheless, they're cooking it quicker because the heat is higher. Dahlia Vayani with 100 bits. I don't know how long I can stay, but I wanted to give you a few bits. Also just got new full-time jobs, so I'll be able to give you even more later, just hoping they're not shitty about me being trans. Hey! Well, I'm glad you got a job, and I hope that goes well. Thanks for the bits.
That doesn't work.
The flash point of wood is 572 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's even the minimum. Interesting.
But back then it probably did. 2 hours isn't what it used to be.
Or stoves used to be hotter.
I may as well just point out here, you know how when you watch really, really old film footage and it looks sped up? Yeah, it's because they used to be able to do a lot more stuff in 10 seconds. So when you play 10 seconds of old footage in 10...
It's because the frame rate they were filming at was lower, Hans. My god.
10 seconds of today's time, it looks really sped up. And yeah, shills will come out of the woodwork. Oh, undercranking. Oh, they did it to be funny. Well, if they did it just to be funny, why documentaries are sped up like that too? Just when there's a camera on the sidewalk and people walking by, those films are sped up too. Why would they speed that up?
It's not sped up, Hans. The frame rate is different. I assume you're talking about, like, I don't know. We've watched this before, but I'll use it as an example. New York City, 1900 to 1919. Oh, these are just pictures. I need the video one. This one is upscaled, though, too. Video of New York, 1900s. Okay. Okay. So the reason this looks the way it is, Hans, is because the frame rate of the camera is lower. Therefore, it's going to look like things are moving faster and in jerkier ways. Because it's capturing fewer frames per second. So when you play it back at 20 frames per second or whatever, it's going to look jerky. And it's going to look weird.
For comedic effect. That doesn't make sense. Anyways, just to make a point about the...
Okay, Mabret says they were filmed at 16 frames per second and were reproduced at 24. There you go.
Food thing. It's kind of hard to really find definitive time comparisons of back then to today. And especially because when it comes to cooking, a lot of stuff is...
And yes, that doesn't make sense, because if things were supposedly moving slower in the past, then playing them back now when things are moving faster wouldn't look like that. It would be the opposite.
Different. Here they're cooking at 325 degrees, but then they're saying meat thermometer should read 190 degrees. So the cook times here look a lot larger, 3.5 to 3.25 hours, all the way up to 7.5 to 9 hours. But they're cooking it at a pretty low temperature, and they're cooking it all the way to 190 degrees, whereas today they just tell you to cook it to 165. So the cooking thing, sometimes it's hard to find definitive answers, but I mean, there are some very questionable recipes out there that would not make any sense today. You can't cook a 10-pound turkey for 2 hours. And again,
if you had a very hot oven that's like 600 degrees, yeah, you probably could.
I don't know where the source is for this. I guess, yeah, I have no idea for this thing, but they were saying 2.5 hours.
It would probably be a very dry turkey, though, just to be clear. I don't think it would taste very good.
For a large turkey, which is absurd by today's standards. Well, I'll leave it at that. Somebody made a joke in one of my previous videos saying that they should buy their Thanksgiving turkey right now and start defrosting it. And that is what it feels like. Thanksgiving will be here before we know it. And I think the whole turkey thing is a good way that you can tell that time has sped up. I know that me personally, I've noticed, man, stuff takes forever to defrost. And I've just, dang, this turkey is going to be cooking all day.
Probably because you're paying attention to it, because you're an adult who cooks their own meals. Meanwhile, when you were a child, you weren't paying attention because you probably weren't cooking your dinner when you were, 10 years old or whatever.
And it's so hard to cook many things at the same time now. It feels like there's not enough time for one person to make a whole Thanksgiving meal. Whereas back in the day, that's what Grandma would do, would cook all of it.
What are you talking about? Literally like a year and a half ago, I made a Thanksgiving dinner. Like, it's not super hard. Like, you can do it. I mean, cornbread and mashed potatoes, and like I have a slow roaster thing that I made some turkey in. Like, it's not what? It's not hard. It took like a couple hours. The turkey had to be on longer, but like the other stuff, it didn't take a super long time, especially nowadays. A lot of stuff comes in a box, like cornbread.
Nowadays, it's nearly impossible. God bless everyone.
Oh, Hans. You're so wrong about so many things. I really, really wish Hans would get some help, because he is not right in the head. Oh no, another conspiracy. Let me see what we got under conspiracy.
Two things I look at are the answers to the questions and how long they've been. I don't know anything for sure and expand. Want to join the group.
Okay, here's Nathan Thompson. It's just a live stream he did. I don't know if this will be good or not, but let's try and give it a watch for a little bit.
All right, another 500 people plus want to join the group. So I figured I'd just give you guys a little insight into what's going on. What people are saying. This lady's interested in learning, wants to learn more and expand my mind. Check that out. 535 member requests. Let's get started. Danny Nicole, 8 years ago joined. I don't know anything for sure. I don't, but I know it's not a
He's doing live streams where he's approving people for his Flat Earth Facebook group, and in doing so is basically just showing a bunch of people's Facebook profiles.
Part of 3 other groups. Mud Flood. Joined 11 years ago. Welcome to the group. Anything over... Look how pretty this lady is. Welcome to the group.
Yeah, I'm sure people want their, like, I'm not gonna watch this, just because I'm sure these people don't want their Facebook information. God. What is your problem, Nathan? The lack of social awareness is ridiculous. Debate on Discord. Oof, that's bad microphone. Let's go to most popular. That's not what I wanted. Don't play all the videos on his channel. That sounds awful. I have an idea for a stream one day. I want to watch all of the Quarterings Brie Larson videos in one sitting. Would you guys be interested in that? Because I think that sounds like a good time. NASA exposed. Satellites are temporary helium balloons. No, they're not. They're not. Flat smacking the Denver International Airport. So for those of you who don't know, the Denver International Airport is an airport that a lot of conspiracy theorists think is like a home base or like a secret compound for the New World Order or whatever. And the reason that this is because Denver International Airport has a underground series of like tunnels and stuff. The actual purpose of these tunnels is they had this big automated baggage system that they invented, but it never really worked, so they just kind of removed it and do typical baggage stuff now. But also they have artwork around the place that's very interesting. It's not your typical sort of milquetoast public art. Like, they actually have pretty interesting murals and stuff. But of course, being the weirdos they are, conspiracy theorists think that these art pieces are somehow secretly satanic because they're not Norman Rockwell paintings. Antipodian Squid with 200 bits. Donor as a charity streaming event for a feminist critique of some kind. He'd have enough videos about her by now, surely. Donor as a charity streaming event for a feminist. That might be fun. Yeah, as a charity stream. Enlid with 10 bits. Some also think it's one of these entry points to Underground Continental Railroad, with other points including Washington, D.C. and Area 51. Yeah. They think a lot of weird stuff.
Anybody here know the Earth is flat? Big flat.
Oh, this is embarrassing.
Yeah?
Flat, yeah, dude.
My man, dude. Awesome. Good to hear you.
Flat earther.
My man over there, dude. That guy's awesome.
My brother believes that the Earth is flat.
No, your brother knows the Earth is flat. It's not a...
Oh, God. Can we not talk about this? You cannot say, like, if someone says, my X, or I believe X, then you say, no, you know X. There's no such thing as absolute knowing, and trying to, in a debate, rhetorically say, I don't believe it, I know it, it's a vacuous statement that means nothing. When we say we know something, all we are saying is we believe with a high level of confidence. So saying, I don't believe it, I know it, means nothing. It's just a rhetorical, like, sleight of hand to try and pretend that, like, your beliefs are somehow above the beliefs of others. It's ridiculous.
Believe.
I don't know.
Your brother's a flat earther? Here's another flyer for you.
Okay. Thanks.
Take care. Have a good one.
Yo, my boy's been going on about this. We've been watching some stuff, and it's been pretty trippy. Like,
I'm so disappointed by the American educational system and how it's failed absolutely everyone.
There's a lot of stuff the government holds back, holds behind, and definitely don't like, you know.
Did these pique your interest? The posters on the wall? Did you see those?
You know what? As a matter of fact, the first...
Yeah, they're playing into the conspiracy theories, bud. Do you get it? They're literally being like, ha ha ha, people think that we're part of some Illuminati conspiracy, so we're gonna do posters in the airport that sort of play into that. Like, do you not get that that's a joke, or do you think that the Illuminati is so stupid that they're like, let's just broadcast that we're reptilians? What's up? Just watching some dude get flat smacked in the Denver airport. Very stupid.
Something I was here the other day, totally... Hell yeah, I did, man, because... I've been big on, like, the Illuminati thing, and, like...
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make an announcement. Has anyone heard the Earth is flat?
Stop bothering people in public, Nathan.
Well, I just got kicked out of Starbucks for asking NASA employee questions.
He got kicked out of Starbucks for harassing a NASA employee who happened to be there getting coffee.
Because he's lying. You ever hear about the flat Earth?
Nathan Thompson, all he does is lie. The Earth's not flat, don't believe this guy.
Anything
Just
to
a bunch
hide.
of ladies sitting there talking?
Yeah,
oh, now you're
How do you know it's boundless in every direction?
Because that's what science proves, and I...
Well, let me take this opportunity to say, that's silly. That is so silly.
Did you know what's in the Bible? That the Earth's flat?
You need to turn that off.
You can't touch me. Anybody here know the Earth is flat? Big flat. Just take it.
Take it.
Just take it. You guys ever research flat Earth? Airplanes don't adjust for curvature. Large bodies of water are not convex. You ever research the flat Earth? You ever research the flat Earth? I got one for you, of course. Yeah, my pleasure. You ever research the flat Earth, bro?
No, thank you, man.
Just
flat earther.
Yeah?
Yeah, dude.
You're my man, dude. Awesome. Good to hear you.
I love it.
You got a minute?
I'll read it.
There you go, bro.
Yeah.
You got any favorite flat earthers you want to shout out?
No, I'm new to the crew.
All right.
I met some people and I love it.
Awesome, bro. Already met a flat earther. Sweet. That took 2 seconds. All right, check this out. Construction or cover-up? Huh. They got the all-seeing eye right there on the...
It's a joke, you idiot! How stupid are you that you look at the obvious joke posters that are playing into the dumb conspiracy theories you believe in going, huh, they put an Illuminati eye right on it. Yeah, to make fun of you. They are making fun of you to your face, and you don't even get it. That's how stupid you are, Nathan. I'm so mad.
Photo, how funny. Are we creating the world's greatest airport or preparing for the end of the world? And it's got this...
They are making fun of you, and you're like, oh, they're admitting it. No, they're making fun of you, you idiot.
Horse lifted up with laser beams coming out of his eyeballs. You can't make... Pardon me for cursing. Just want to give you a flyer, bro. The Earth's flatter than a pancake. Check it out. Ridiculous. I cannot believe it.
That's the joke.
No, you're busy. All right. At the airport. All-seeing eye.
Yeah, that's a real statue. I know. It's a statue that's outside the airport.
Talk about the end of the world. This is like... They have tons of underground stuff. My buddy was working on this airport, said that they hide the blueprints from all the construction workers. You guys ever look into Flat Earth? It sounds crazy, I know, but all the airplanes the pilots are trained on a target generation facility. It's the most expensive software program in human history, but it's a flat Earth simulator. So none of the pilots are flying around a ball.
Yes, they are. I've explained this before, but basically when you're in an airplane, what's considered level is level relative to the gravity of the Earth, and as you go around the Earth, the curve is very gradual because the Earth is ginormous. But basically, if you did fly straight for a long period of time, and somehow you were able to gyroscopically remain level, at some point the angle that you're going at would be different. But it's so gradual and you're already trying to level the plane out most of the time that it compensates for that fact, because you're always, like, slave to the gravity of the planet that you were on.
That's just something that they put in your mind when you're a young kid, and then people believe it, and then we're taught to make fun of people who don't believe what we believe. Classic cult groupthink mentality. But hey, I want to share with you guys. God bless. Thank you. Yeah, my pleasure. Oh, hey, look, my bag's still here. Sweet. Oh, look, there's tons of people walking out right here. Look at you with nothing in your hands. Okay. Let me fix that.
Okay.
You ever look into Flat Earth? Ever? You ever hear about it?
Actually, I've heard the Flat Earthers thing.
Awesome. The 10 best proofs are in there, and I run the largest group in the world. Okay. Just want to share
We
with
looked at the pamphlet yesterday, and it was very stupid, as you might imagine.
That's awesome. Don't miss out on the truth. Yeah, my pleasure. Hopefully I don't get kicked out for sharing flyers.
I don't know what airports' policies are on proselytizing, whether it's religious or otherwise, but I know they had a big problem in like the 80s, from the 70s on basically, because it's even a joke in Airplane, with like Hare Krishna people who were like in airports and giving out flyers and trying to convince people to join their religion. So I think airports probably do have stricter policies now on doing stuff like that. I certainly wouldn't do it. I don't think that's a good call, Nathan.
God bless you guys. We got family everywhere, guys. This morning I got free food because yesterday I walked into the restaurant and I was wearing a Flat Earth shirt. And so that was pretty cool. Gotta watch out for security, you know? They see me rolling, they hating. Don't want Nathan handing out no Flat Earth leaflets. But I got too many Flat Earth leaflets. Want another plane to get unloaded.
There's nothing funny about
so
the
I
tools
could
of capitalism.
Antipodian Squid with 100 bits. I wonder how we'd respond if the conversation went something like, hey, have you researched Flat Earth? Yeah, it's the most hilarious BS I've ever heard. I love that stuff.
Let's make them all. But yeah,
I don't think it would go well.
Denver Airport. I didn't really see any other than the portal to the underworld.
They're making fun of you with those advertisements, Nathan, and you are so stupid that you don't even understand it. And I think that's pretty emblematic of the entirety of your worldview, is someone can make fun of you to your face in the most blatantly obvious way possible, and you still don't understand what's happening.
And them talking about the end of the world, and them talking about establishing the greatest airport ever, I really haven't seen much symbolism. Oh yeah, let me show you guys the Freemasonic, oh, here's another airplane. Flat Earth. Any of you guys ever researched the flat Earth? Pilots don't adjust for curvature. Large bodies of water have no convexity. You're not...
The thing, it's so inaccurate what he's saying, because pilots do adjust for curvature. It's just not something they have to think about in those terms. Because if you're piloting an airplane and you're trying to remain level, while you're trying to make sure that you are level, you are automatically already compensating for curvature, because that's always going to be... Your level is always going to be related to your position relative to the ground below you and the gravity that you're dealing with, which is always going to be pulling towards the center of the Earth. So it is absolutely something that pilots deal with. It's just that they don't think of it in those terms, because that's so, like, how do I put this? That's such like a third... No, that's not a good way to put it. That's such just a weird way to describe what they are doing when they are piloting a plane, right? Like, if you're trying to stay level to the ground, you are inherently compensating for a curve, but you're not thinking about it that way because the curve is so gradual, it's not something you think about. It's just, oh, I'm remaining level relative to the ground. And again, the Earth is huge, so the curve is so slight, it's not something you think about.
Blasting through space. You guys know NASA has no real photos of the Earth from space.
They literally do. They literally do. What he's talking about is the fact that many images of the Earth taken from space are composite images. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if this one is or not. Quite possibly is, though. A lot of the pictures that we have of Earth from space work a little bit like a panorama on your camera, because a lot of the pictures taken from space are of satellites, are from satellites, rather. And satellites, even though they're up in space, are relatively close to the Earth. Again, the Earth is huge, so even when you're out in space, you have to be decently far away from the Earth in order to be able to take an entire picture of it all at once, which we do have, again, like from the Apollo missions and stuff like that. But a lot of images that you see of the Earth are taken by satellites, which are pretty close to the Earth, and their cameras cannot get the entirety of the Earth in frame all at once. That doesn't mean the photos are fake, however. It's the same way that a panorama shot works on your phone. If you've ever gone to, like, I don't know, the Grand Canyon or somewhere where you want to take a panorama shot. If you have, you know that you push the button on your phone, and then it has you slide the camera, and it takes a series of pictures all in a row, and then it stitches together those images into a larger image. The same thing is happening with a lot of images that we get from space, again, due to the fact that they're taken from satellites that are pretty close to the Earth relative to its size. But that does not mean we do not have images of the Earth in its entirety from space. We do. Nathan just will... When Nathan is shown images like this, for instance, that are taken from the moon, that do show the entirety of the Earth from space, you know what he does? He just says they're fake. He just says, oh, that's not real, though. So that's how he gets to the point where he's like, there are no images of Earth from space, because he just says that the ones that are fake. It's the most disingenuous BS ever.
Yo, my man, dude, you got a cross on your neck. You believe the God's word?
Hey, bro. The Earth is
Debate me. All right, I'll see you later.
Yeah, when I'm walking through an airport, the first thing I want to do is debate people. I'm even someone who likes this conversation, right? Like, I'm someone who likes discussing stupid stuff like this. But if I'm in an airport and I'm already stressed out enough because I hate airports, oh boy, one time I was up for like 48 hours because I had to like deal with this airport nightmare, and I was just spending like countless dozens of hours in the airport, and it was a nightmare. And this asshole comes up to me and is like, oh, debate me, bro. Like, no, I have a plane to catch. I'm gonna go to the Dairy Queen Chillin' Grill and get some chicken tendies. And I'm gonna go sit and watch my phone for 13 more hours until my flight happens. Please leave me alone, Nathan.
Hey, you guys, please take a flyer. NASA's lying to everyone. Space is fake. It's flatter than a pancake. Here you go, brother. Enjoy. You interested in the truth? No. Hey, you guys like the truth? Hey, you guys like the truth? Sure do. It's all yours. Enjoy. Hey guys, we were lied to about space.
After this video, I'm probably gonna go get ready for D&D, by the way.
So I just want to give you this.
I haven't gotten a text about what time it's supposed to be, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be today. We normally do Wednesdays.
You guys know the Earth is flat, right? Nice smile. The Earth's flat, bro. Take it. Yo, let me check out your shirt. Dude, the tree, they cut down all the trees. Have you researched no forests on flat Earth?
Researched what?
Dude, they cut down all the giant trees. Just here, take a leaflet. My email's there. I'll send you a video. Shoot me something. Your shirt's awesome. Hey, you guys, we were lied to. Space is fake. Just take it. You guys know the Earth is flat, right?
Yes.
You do? Serious? I've been researching for 3
I think this guy's just messing with him. He has that dad joke energy where he immediately hears someone say something like that and he's like, this is gonna be fun. So he goes, yeah, I believe in flat Earth. And he's with whoever this is. And he's gonna laugh about it afterwards.
3 years. The 10 best proofs I could put together are right there on that leaflet. But I also run the largest flat Earth group in the world. It's called the Official Flat Earth and Globe Discussion.
Does Nathan count as a Karen, a sovereign citizen, a conspiracy nut, or a chud? He's definitely a conspiracy nut. Sometimes I'd say he counts as a Karen, because he definitely acts like that sometimes.
About 128,000 people in the group. Nobody can find the curvature. Nobody can find a real picture of Earth from space. Nobody can prove we're blasting through space. Nobody can prove the Earth's spinning.
That's right, capitalistic propaganda.
This guy absolutely has that energy where, I don't know if these are his kids or what. They could be his kids. He's going along with it like, yeah, I believe this. Please come talk to me. I'm sitting in an airport. I have nothing to do but listen to crazy people, please. And his kids are, like, laughing. B. Vargas 78. Welcome to the stream. Thank you. What's a sovereign citizen? A sovereign citizen is a group of people who believe that the law doesn't apply to them. Basically, they claim that they are sovereign citizens and that the government has no authority over them because they just get to claim sovereignty. It's very silly. Hopefully we'll maybe get to one of those videos. Maybe not. I don't know if this is the last thing we'll be doing today. I'm waiting to hear back from my D&D group, but those videos are pretty fun.
Nobody can prove gravity.
So the moonwalk is just a dance.
You already know
Michael
about
Jackson.
it. You already know about it. Yeah, you already know about it. So what happens? What happens on Area 51 stays on Area 51.
That's true.
So one thing is it's impossible to go to the moon on both models. On the Globe model, the moon's 230,000 miles away. They said they got there in 3 days. How do you get to a rock flying through space in 3 days, 230,000 miles away, slow down with no atmosphere, so pump the brake?
You slow down in a spaceship by using thrusters and fire them in the opposite direction that you're going. Do you really not know the answer to that, Nathan? You don't know that in space, in order to slow down, you fire rockets in the opposite direction you're going? God damn, Nathan, get a copy of Kerbal Space Program. It's probably like $20 at this point.
In a vacuum, land, take all the fuel you need to get back, do it safely, then you do an interview 2 months later and everybody's
look at this girl's face! She's like, are you guys seeing this?
Down at the ground and twiddling their pens when they should be celebrating like they just won the Super Bowl. I was there. I saw it on the radio. The moon landing's real. I saw it on the radio. But
the moon landing was televised, you moron. Do you think that there isn't footage of the moon landing?
You know, none of those guys.
In 1969, they had TVs.
None of those guys will swear on the
He even said it. He's like, in 1969, they had TVs. You can see it. Moon landing. Like, there's even a Doctor Who plot about this. Like, this was on TV, Nathan.
Each of the two hemispheres of the light, 19.
Bible that they went to the moon. Did you know that? Yeah, Buzz Aldrin punched a guy in the face for asking him to swear in the Bible. Now, if you...
Yeah, because the guy was putting into question. That's great, by the way. Can we watch that? Hold on. Buzz Aldrin punch. This is great. So, this guy, facetiously, that's even putting it nicely, this guy lied to Buzz Aldrin and set up, like, an interview with him or something, and then he basically ambushed him to be like, tell me the moon landing was fake. You tell me it was true. Swear on a Bible. And bear in mind, Buzz Aldrin was, like, in the military. He was in the Air Force, and this dude put his life on the line in the pursuit of, like, discovery and exploration. Like, I don't know how to put it other than, like, Buzz Aldrin, ballsy dude. You have to be ballsy and have a lot of respect for your country in order to say, you're going to put me on a thing that's going to explode and then send me into space and you're going to send me to the moon. And there was a good chance they were going to die, and they didn't. And the dude did that. He was one of the first people on the moon. That's insanity. He was the second man to ever set foot on the moon. And this asshole, being a smug little bitch, walks up to this American hero, and you know me, I'm not the kind of person who throws around terms like American hero, because I don't care about this, like, jingoistic crap. But if there is such a thing as an American hero, Buzz Aldrin is certainly that. And this asshole goes like, swear on the Bible you went to the moon. And Buzz Aldrin hits him right in his Jack Johnson, and it's so satisfying.
Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
I'm not trying to get in the middle of anything.
Tell him to get out of here.
This is a hotel.
We'll call
Right,
the police.
We pay.
Come on in here. We'll call the police.
Solicit on
You like that? Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
It doesn't, sir. I don't have nothing to do with this. But
Okay.
you cannot solicit on this property.
We just paid to rent out the penthouse to shoot up there. So
you can't solicit like this on this property.
keep shooting.
All right. Well, then I'd go through my measures.
You got to keep shooting, man. Okay. Well, you can put it on your shoulder. Don't be shy.
Just come with me, Buzz.
You really like adventure, don't you?
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Calling a man who risked his life for, like, national pride in the pursuit of exploration and science. Calling him a coward to his face. That's amazing.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
Oh! That's some satisfying shit right there. And Nathan uses this as like he punched a guy in the face. Like, yeah, he did. And that guy deserved it. That guy deserved to get punched in the face as much as anyone has ever deserved to get punched in the face. I wish Nathan would have a little powwow with Buzz Aldrin. I want to see even older Buzz Aldrin punch him in the face. Is Buzz Aldrin still alive? Okay, good. He is alive. I want to see 90-year-old Buzz Aldrin punch Nathan right in the nose.
And the government spent billions of dollars to send you there, and someone puts a Bible in front of you and says, hey, just swear on it that you did it.
Maybe he just didn't like the Bible.
Maybe, yeah. Neil said, because he did it to multiple astronauts, Neil said knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible. But even if it's a fake Bible, wouldn't you want to investigate? But I appreciate you taking my flyer and have an open mind, dude. Yeah. Hey, what's up, man? Did you want to chat?
What's up, bud? Yeah. Yo, my boy's been going on about this. We've been watching some stuff, and it's been pretty trippy. Like, there's a lot of stuff the government holds back, holds behind, and definitely don't like, you know.
Did these pique your interest? The posters on the wall? Did you see those?
You know what? As a matter of fact, the first time that I was here the other day, totally. Hell yeah, I did.
They're making fun of you, Nathan. Do you understand that's the joke? Or are you so stupid that you're literally looking at posters that are making fun of you and you don't know it?
Man, because I've been big on like the Illuminati thing, and like I went in and I got told by the judge, "You're right, but you lose."
No.
And I went, wait a second, if you're supposed to uphold the law, how does that work?
How long ago did you find out about Flat Earth?
A few months, but I've been doing a lot of like, man, I've been watching a lot of YouTube on it. I mean, not everything online.
That's why they faked the moon landing right there. The Earth's flat.
Not everything on TV, you can believe in, not everything, you know.
Did you know the Earth's flat? It's yours. Just take it. It's flat. Pattern and pancake. Here, I got a helping hand for you right here, Mr. Hamburger Helper. I like your shirt.
That is pretty badass shirt.
Walk by my bag over here so they won't like see an unattended bag. And... Hey, if anybody here wants some information on Flat Earth, I got some flyers. The truth is right here. Truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance will deride it, but in the end, there it is. Hey, you know we live on a flat Earth, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just take it. Large bodies of water. Large bodies of water don't curve. The pilot didn't adjust for curvature on your flight. I promise. Ask him. I've asked over 20 pilots, and the software they train on is a target generation facility. It's a Flat Earth software.
Nathan, if you go and get like Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and I don't know what they're specifically like learning on in actual flight school, but you can go get a flight simulator, even just a consumer one, and no, it doesn't operate on a flat Earth. It just doesn't.
People don't know their science. You flat smacking everybody. I didn't mean to ignore you, bro.
Let me get a couple more.
You can have as many as you want, bro.
I want to bring them back to Oregon here.
Yeah. Take them to Oregon. My email's on there. You can order them from me, too. In the last month, I've moved like 15,000 of these flyers all over the world. We got them translated into Korean.
Does Nathan have a website I can buy those from? Because I kind of want them. He has an email. I could probably email him and ask for some. He'd probably give them to me. Honestly, guys, hear me out. Should I email Nathan to come have a discussion with me on this channel? Because I feel like he would do it. Should I do that? Or is that a waste of everyone's time? I mean, it's obviously a waste of everyone's time, but would it be an entertaining waste of everyone's time?
Korean, Spanish. Hey, my man, just take a flyer. They lied. Hey, they lied about the shape of the Earth, guys. Just check it out. Okay, cool.
Yeah, man, this is cool, bro. Thank you.
Yeah, what was the name?
My name's Ryan.
So nice to meet you, dude.
Pleasure.
Yeah, for sure. You got some meaty hands there.
Palpatine says do it.
I've done my damage to him over time.
What are you, lumberjack or working with a hammer?
I'm a chef, actually. Chef? Yeah, but I used to fight, so.
Oh, okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah, they've had their time
Dude,
in the cage.
thanks for not beating me up for sharing Flat Earth with you.
Thanks for being cool enough to talk for me.
Cool, my ride just told me he's almost here. I want to go give this one a flyer. Hey, you were on the phone earlier. I run the largest flat Earth group in the world, and you're going to laugh. It sounds stupid, but I've done the research for 3 years. I have the most...
Look at that. Look into the camera. That's like a professional The Office level camera mug.
And you're going to laugh. It sounds stupid, but I've done the research for 3 years.
Perfect.
I have the most high-power camera right here. You could see things that would be impossible on a globe 24,901 miles around. It's like numbers don't lie. People lie, especially if they're in the government, right? So I'm just live in the group. It's called the Official Flat Earth and Globe Discussion. Are you on Facebook? Yeah. Join us up and see what the truth is.
She looks like she's in pain having this conversation.
No, your brother knows the Earth is flat. It's not a belief.
It is a belief. Even something that, like, you know very well, or believe very strongly based on sound evidence is still a belief, right? Like, everything you know is still a belief. There's no such thing as no. I don't know how to explain it better than that.
Oh, no.
Your brother's a flat earther? Here's another flyer for you.
Okay.
Take care. Have a good one. See, best thing about Flat Earth, making people smile, baby. Making people smile. Hey, I love you guys. Real quick, I'm going to do an for all these people. And then we're going to leave. Hey, you guys all know the Earth is flat, right? Large bodies of water don't curve. You need a flyer? No. Cool. The pilot didn't adjust for curvature on your flight. So check the target generation facility. That's what trains the pilots. They're not trained to fly on a globe.
I've never Googled the thing. Target generation facility. Target generation facility, data reduction and analyst toolkit, DRAT. The TGF Data Reduction and Analysis Toolkit, DRAT, was developed to generate reports on air traffic control simulations for data analysis. Researchers can use this tool to analyze and interpret various sets of dependent variables that relate to both air traffic system performance and individual controller performance. Analysts will be able to evaluate the output of the tool with statistical packages without manual elimination of extraneous raw data. Analysts without any prerequisite programming skills can quickly learn how to use the tool. The menu-driven GUI allows easy customization of data output and tailoring of data reports to meet the research analysis of the studies being conducted. The tool's menu-driven interface allows the selection of GTF simulation recordings. The analyst can select data from sets of variables for output, process summary statistics based on user-specific time blocks, and print the output generated to the desired format. The output can be printed to either text format or reading, or to a comma-delimited format. Comparable with spreadsheet import files, such as this is just about it. Okay. It's a modular, highly adaptable application for extracting data for TGF simulations. So this is just talking about the simulations themselves. I need to see, it's almost hilarious to say, I need to see Nathan's source on this, because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of readily available information on this, but I would imagine Nathan doesn't have a source on this. I think it's just something he heard and he's repeating, so.
Check it out. Hey, you guys know the Earth is flat, right? Anybody want a flyer? Learn the truth? Any flat earthers? No, come debate me. You got an argument?
I know you're in an airport and you probably have a place to be, but come debate me, bro.
You guys all know the Earth is flat, right? The Earth is flat. You guys hear about this? We've been lied to about space. They're lying about space. The pilots are not adjusting for curvature on your flight. Large bodies of water have...
If they're adjusting for level, then yes, they are.
No curvature or convexity. They're lying to you about space. Let me give you one. Just educate yourself.
Because level is going to be relative to your position on the globe, right? Like a plane going what appears to be straight on one part of the Earth, if it's somehow teleported with the exact orientation to another part of the Earth, then it might be upside down or something. But the fact is, because we're on a globe, and a very large one at that, the change is very gradual. So as you adjust to make sure you're just level with the ground, as you're continuing to fly, that's adjusting for the curvature. But curvature is very gradual, so it's not something you consciously do. It's just something that, for one thing, autopilot will do most of the time, because most of the flight when you're on a commercial flight is being handled by autopilot in the first place. And secondly, even if it's not, it's so gradual, you would not notice. It's not something pilots are consciously thinking, oh, I need to do, you know, this many degrees per whatever, because you don't have to do it, because you're already adjusting just for level with the ground, which is always already taking into consideration the curvature that the Earth has.
God bless you, okay? Big turban. Here you go, bro. Okay. Yeah. Hey, I'll see you guys later. I got videos to upload. I just flat smacked the entire plane with flyers. Because this is how we do it where I'm from. I love you. If you're a fan or friend or flat earther, or you don't like me but you're also a flat earther, add your friends to the group. People need to know the Earth is flat. Love you. Peace.
Water donut here. to the
Nathan Thompson, $78 a month on Patreon. Not great. $78 a month. How many views does he get on his videos? 1,861, 587. Ooh, for the number of subscribers he has really bad viewership rates. This one has 4K from a month ago. This one has 5K. What are his most viewed of all time? 112 from a year ago. 96 from a year ago. But it goes down so much. For those of you who don't know, Flat Earth has already peaked in terms of, like, Google Trends. I think I looked at this a while ago, but... Doon. Past 5 years. More than that. 2004 to present. That might be a better one. Okay. So Flat Earth, obviously, prior to like 5 or 6 years ago, not that popular. Then it had this kind of surge in popularity. And since, I don't know, 2019, in the early 2019, it's been going down. So all these people, these grifters who've been making money on Flat Earth, I'm guessing they don't have a very long career lifespan if they've like staked their career on this. People like Nathan, people like Mark Sargent, in 10 years, there's no way they're going to be doing this for a living. Just because it's not a sustainable model. You have a limited number of people who are going to be gullible enough to fall into this, right? And even on top of that, you have people who are being shown that this is wrong pretty consistently. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. Okay, so looks like D&D will be around 7:30 or so. So I'm going to go get ready for that. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the stream. We didn't do a ton today, but it was a good time. We need to ball smack this guy. I think we need to come up with a new phrase. Ball smack. Yeah. I'm going to raid to Jake's stream, because that's where the D&D is going to be. So, if you want to come watch the D&D stream, it's a pretty good time. We're going to be fighting an angel, I think, in the first bit, and then I don't know what's going to happen. We might go to Elysium. Guess that probably depends on how long the battle takes. But anyway, it was fun. I'll be back tomorrow. What's tomorrow? A Thursday? I'm not sure what I'll do tomorrow. Maybe a cringe stream. Maybe something else, though. Either way, see you then. Chat is valid. See you guys later.